So, recap. It's been a couple weeks since we streamed this game. So basically, we have the main character, Marnie. She visited her grandmother, staying with her for a while, and didn't believe her grandmother, thinking she was senile, because she kept talking about fairies, not to go out in the forest because she'd get lost, etc., etc. And then we encountered a knight that mistook her for a striking resemblance of her sister or something, but he was just crazy. They look nothing alike. And then, sorry. And then, in order to escape, because he attacked her, we ran through the forest trying to escape. She found a tree with a big enough hollowed inside that she was going to hide inside, and then ended up going through like a portal type thing. Anyway, where we found an unconscious knight, a female knight. And she woke up, and due to the pendant that Grandma gave us, and so now we brought her back home. She's from thousands of years ago, and I think it was like 1300 years ago. And so she was baffled at all the new technologies we were showing her, like around town and stuff like that, because she's out of time, out of place. And then after that, we went to visit a church, and we were kind of reminiscing about the times and the differences between her time and our time, and that because in her time wars were being fought over religion and stuff like that, and it was kind of baffling that it wasn't so prominent now about religion and stuff. But then we encountered a lady that she looked pretty young, but apparently she was also from Marnie's time, even knew who she was. And apparently she mentioned a curse that is the reason behind Leaf. I think her name was Leaf. The other character, the knight, female knight. And because apparently the people are being lured into the forest, trapped, and then either staying asleep during that period, or being aware as she was, that she may be a witch. We don't know. She didn't deny it when we called her that, but she's leading into what's going on, and that's where we ended. Leof, that's her name, Leof. Yeah, I'm gonna take a drink before we start this. I will never fall for your trick, you wicked witch. If you are indeed the one who cursed my brother, then you will pay 100 times over. Oh dear, what a disappointment. It is in one ear and out the other with her. Lynette sighs and shakes her head. Well, what did I expect? She has never once listened to me. I knew from the beginning that this would be a wasted effort, but Marnie. The witch affixes me with a cool, silly glare. Leof might not care to hear what I have to say, but I'm sure she will listen to you. She seems to have taken a liking to you, so please try to talk some sense into her for me. This village, and the forest that surrounds it, is cursed. If you want to unleash her shackles that bind Leof's brother, you will have to trust me, whether you want to or not. This is your only hope to set everything right. I have been waiting for you for more than 1,000 years, and I do not want to wait another 1,000 more. You had best hurry, though. The full moon is almost upon us, and by that point it might be too late. Well, until next time. Wait, don't you dare disappear. I cannot let you escape with your life, you wicked witch. And you think you will encourage me to stay? Perhaps you should sheathe your sword, and then I might reconsider. Really, though, you have always been terrible at talking to girls. Perhaps it's why she never returned to your feelings. What are you speaking of? Come back here. The witch vanishes despite Leoff's angry protests, as though she was never there at all. I can still hear her laughter dancing in the air, albeit softly, until that too fades away. A breeze runs through the graveyard, rustling the leaves on the trees and the grass at my feet. I shiver. My grandma's pendant feels uncomfortably cold against my thigh like a block of ice. Leoff and I walk back to my grand's house, the only sounds being the wind as it runs through the tall grass and crunching of our footsteps on the ground. Leoff is uncharacteristically quiet ever since the run-in with that peculiar woman. Her eyes are narrowed, her lips pursed together. She doesn't even try to engage me in conversation. It looks like there's a lot on her mind. It's a little disconcerting to see Leoff so pensive. I've only known her for a few days, but I've grown accustomed to her bright smiles and excitable demeanor. If only I could cheer her up. Maybe this was my fault, bringing Leoff into this gloomy old church, not that I knew Lynette was going to appear. Grand Chapel's tiny village, but there's a lot about it I don't know. Like an iceberg, you can only see about 10% of it with the naked eye, the rest of it's hidden beneath the surface. There's a dark, shadowy, secretive world of magic and fairies that runs parallel to the unexceptional everyday mass beneath the veil. I've barely begun to pull back the shroud back. Hey, Leoff? Are you alright? Oh yes. I am quite fine, my lady. Please do not worry about me. I have no wish to be a burden. You're not a burden. I was just thinking, well, you haven't been acting like your usual self. Did that woman bother you? It would be a lie if I said she didn't, but... Leoff clenches her fingers into fists. I doubt there was any real truth behind her words. She was just trying to get under my skin. I would not trust her as far as I can throw her. She was kind of small, and you are a warrior. You lift that big-ass sword, so... But she said this village was cursed. Oh, I do not disbelieve that, but I doubt she is innocent as she wants to help us to believe. She can cloak her true intentions behind all the fancy words she likes, but I can see right through her. She is rotten to the core, regardless of what she says. Do you think she does mean to harm us? Indisputably. She was the one who addled my brother. I see no reason why she would not try to attack us next. But she said she didn't. She was lying. But she didn't try to attack us, though. She could have. If she was going to hurt us, wouldn't she have done it already? She said she'd been watching us for quite some time. It would have been easy for her to wait until we fell asleep, and then... I make a slashing motion against my throat with my right hand. I don't know much about Lynette, but I know she's powerful, undoubtedly so. She could have slaughtered Leoff and I in our beds without making a single sound. How close I have been to death over the last few days. I thought my escape from Edmund the day before was perilous, but I've been a constant target since then, and I never knew it. Who would have thought a simple trip to Fanchapel would be so wrought with danger? I am sure it would have been easy for that woman to kill us, but I doubt that that would be enough for her. Leoff grits her teeth together. I cannot pretend to know what she wants from us, but one thing is certain. Before she kills us, she wants to make us suffer. That's how she amuses herself. She is a disgusting woman. I blink at my companion, a little taken back by her tone. She sounds bitter, even more than the awful 90% cocoa chocolate my mother's fond of. I cannot stand that charlatan. She is the one who possessed my brother, and I will make her repent with her life. I do not know who she is or why she wants to torment me so. But I know she's an evil person. That is why I must defeat her. To live to protect those weaker than myself. That includes my That includes my poor brother who was led astray by that sorceress, and of course it includes you too, Marnie. Leof smiles gently but curves her lips. The curve of her lips doesn't illuminate her eyes. Her smile looks forced somehow and uncomfortably cold. You are my dear Fran. I cannot let her hurt you. Perhaps we will not clash today, or tomorrow, or the day after, but soon the time will come. When my arm is recovered and I have regained my stamina, I will stand against that woman and I will cut her down. It is that simple. I suppose I should feel glad that Leof cares so much for me, but I can't suppress a shiver that runs down my spine. Leof's eyes look cold and hard like stones, and they're almost completely devoid of motion. After meeting Lynette, Leof and I keep ourselves occupied. We wander the forest for several hours, on Leof's orders, not mine, in an attempt to find a trace of the reclusive witch. It's like you didn't even know that she was there. She had been following and in the shadows and looking over us. And you're going to look for her? She's probably right behind your shoulder. You're not going to find her. Wasting your time. Our search yields nothing more, however, than dehydration and mild sunstroke on my part. Being a feeble human, I soon flag. Fatigue wins out, and we're bidden to return to my grandma's home for dinner. After eating dinner, Leof and I while away the evening sipping tea and watching TV. Leof's been despondent ever since our chance encounter with Lynette, but she gets surprisingly invested in Silent Witness. You'd think, based on her little speech about good versus evil, she wouldn't care for the grisly murder mystery stories. But in shows like Silent Witness, no matter how high the body count, the killer or killers are always brought to justice in the end. If only real life could be that simple. I guess detective shows are kind of comforting in a way. They're neatly scripted, so all the loose ends can be tied up in 1 or 2 60-minute episodes, allowing for ad breaks, of course. Speaking of which, Leof gets pretty entranced with the adverts too, particularly ones for McDonald's. I guess she's never seen a burger before. The Lux Big Mac Bacon Burger makes her mouth water like a leaky trap. It's a shame that the burgers at McDonald's never look as good as they do on the small screen. They're never quite as they seem. Or if you're in my area, every single McDonald's gets your order wrong, so you're never even getting what you order. Anyway. A new day dawns, but it leaves me with more questions than ever before. Who is Lynette? What happened to Leof's brother? Why is Leof sleeping in the middle of the forest for centuries on end? I wish I knew. There's too much to keep track of. My head's spinning. Leof, for her part, looks more concerned about my well-being than her own history, at least at the present. She sits up in bed and turns to look to me, and then... Oh, my lady, what in the world happened to your poor face? I don't know. What is wrong's my face? And why is she staring at me like that? She's awfully close. Oh, nuts. Now I'm starting to blush. Waking up to a pretty female knight is even worse for my heart than the deluxe Big Mac Bacon Burger. I do not mean to be rude, but your cheeks are all pink and red, and the bridge of your nose too. Oh, but don't take my word for it. Come here, come. Leof takes my fingers in her own and rises from our bed. I have no choice but to follow. She leads me to Aunt Lida's vanity table and examines my face in a wooden mirror. It doesn't take me long to detect the cause of Leof's concern. My cheeks, my nose, and my forehead are all stained with the angry pink blotches. I must have gotten sunburned after my sojourn into the woods yesterday. Curse my stupid pale skin. Geez, what a pain. Oh, you do not sound particularly concerned, my lady. Are you sure this is not a skin condition, or perhaps some kind of sickness? I have seen children in my home die after sustaining such rashes. Their skin would turn red, and then they would break out in horrible spots and sores, and then they would cough themselves to death. I'll be fine, it's just a sunburn. But how can you be so certain? This always happens. It's no big deal, really. It's my own stupid fault for not wearing sunscreen. Sunscreen? It's this sticky kind of lotion. You rub it into your skin, and it stops you from getting burned when you go out in the sun. I guess it wasn't back in your day. And neither were Boots or Londis or any of the drugstores where you can pick up SPF 40 for under $10. What are you going to do, my lady? You cannot go outside like that, surely. Your condition might take turn for the worse. I'll be fine. I can cover most of it up with foundation. I should probably put some SPF 40 on it first, so I'm going to end up with cancer doing that. I have no idea about the makeup on top of sunburn. That can't be healthy, but then going out again. I wonder if I have any. I turn away from Aunt Lita's vanity table. I don't want to look at my stupid sunburned face for a moment longer. And I make a beeline for the suitcase. My mother practically stuffed my suitcase to the breaking point the night before we set off to Fan Chapel. She made sure to plan for all eventualities in that way fussy mothers do, be it floods, heat waves, or even volcanic eruptions, probably. In fact, she added so much stuff in my case, Dad would hardly haul it off into the boot of the car. She made me bring my old anorak. I never once worn it, an umbrella, 3 new pairs of socks, 2 more pairs of shoes. You can't wear those boots all the time, dear. You crippled yourself in those high heels, and... aha! Here it is, my holy grail, a bottle of sunscreen. I told my mom to stop fussing so much. I can pack my own clothes, you know. I'm going away for a week, but I guess her over-preparedness can come in handy sometimes. I take the cap off the bottles and squirt some of the cream into my palm. Is that the sunscreen you spoke of? Mm-hmm. How peculiar. I've never seen such things before. It looks a bit like raw egg whites, but it's only much thicker. I'd say it looks more like mayonnaise. Mayonnaise? Never mind. You would think they would have mayonnaise back in the day. It's well, I don't know. Because wouldn't mayonnaise be a form of keeping food fresher longer, so you would have to have like straight eggs that go bad in a day? The thought of slathering my tender skin in mayonnaise is so not appealing idea. I sit on the edge of my bed and begin to rub the sunscreen into the palms of my hands and up my arms. I reach up beneath my vest, brushing my fingers against my stomach and ribs and sides. The whole while, Leah watches on, her eyes narrowed like Dr. Chamberlain in The Silent Witness. This is a little uncomfortable, awkward too. And this sunscreen is supposed to protect you from the ravages of the sun? That's the general idea, yeah. So, is it heat resistant? How interesting. I wonder if the properties could protect one against a fire-breathing dragon. Hi, Kate. How you doing? I don't know if the sunscreen's that effective, but I bet the dragon would melt your skin right off your body and with the sunscreen with it. But wait, do dragons really exist? A couple of days ago, I'd laugh at the idea, but after everything I've seen... well, who knows? Leof smiles enigmatically and takes a bottle from my hands. Workday almost over, chilling. I hope it goes smoothly for you. Gonna be a busy week. I mean, it's been so erratic lately, I have no idea. I can't really answer that. I do have a collab coming up, though. It's going to be Thursday at 10 a.m. EDT. Eastern, whatever it is. Oh, stretchies. Yeah. What, did you miss? Well, I'm not sure, You were in the last stream we did this, didn't you? I'll recap. Just let me take a drink right fast. Okay, so did you see the church the last time we streamed? Or the witch? Lynette was her name. Okay, so we continued off with... Thank you for the follow! Welcome to the Plushy Gang. So Lynette was a witch. She, Leof still keeps saying that she's a witch. But, she, has been awake and aware and alive for, thousands of years. Or at least since, Leof's time, because she knew Leof. And, Leof, is pretty sure that she is the one that, cursed her brother, but, not to, according to Lynette. And, Leof is ready to kill Lynette. And Lynette is claiming that she wants to help and end the curse. That the entire town is cursed and the forest surrounding it. But that's pretty much all that happened. We came home. Leof demanded that they search for the witch, and so Leof dragged Marnie around town for hours. And Marnie is this is the next day, and Marnie has a sunburn, and so she's lotioning herself up because they're planning on going back out. But Leof is wondering how sunscreen works, and wondering if sunscreen is heat resistant and would protect you against dragons. But one of the things that Lynette kind of led to, apparently Leof had a female crush at one other time. And, but apparently they didn't return her feelings because of, as Lynette put it, Leof doesn't know how to speak to women. No, it is not good against dragons. What the fuck? Yeah. But that's kind of where we are at now, so. And now Leof is trying to slide into those DMs and asking to rub lotion on Marnie. Would you like me to help you apply this strange salve, my lady? 4 hands are better than 2, and I should be able to reach places you cannot. You can regard this as an apology for dragging you so relentlessly about the woods. Is this an apology, or are you just getting, into it? Oh, you don't need to feel obliged. It's not like you did anything wrong. But I did. I was so very thoughtless, and I wish to make amends. Would you let me help you, please? Leof down bad. For real. Oh, alright then. You can help. Just do it quickly, okay? I will. Thank you for trusting me, my lady. You don't need to thank me. Just don't be silly. It's not like I'm bequeathing a great honor upon Leof or anything. I mean, you're bequeathing your body, so... I turn my back facing Leof, then arrange my hair so it's draped across my one shoulder. My pajama shirt... Is that how you spell pajama in wherever she's from? My pajama shirt has a thin straps and a low back, which leaves my nape, shoulders, and the top of my spine completely exposed. I sit there, waiting expectantly. We, were asleep, and immediately got up so Leof could show her sunburn. Does she wear her hairpins to bed? Yeah, what the fuck is that spelling? Yeah, I mean, I think that it's spelled differently in different places, but it's still, that seemed very weird. Very weird spelling. I sit there waiting expectantly while Leah squirts a peak of white sunscreen into her palm. She rubs the lotion on her hands, then introduces her fingertips on my bare back. I flinch at contact, my eyelashes fluttering. My mother used to apply sunscreen on the nape of my neck and my shoulders when I was a kid, but never this gentle. My mom moved with precision of a machine and a mechanical attempt to coat me as quickly as possible. Leof, meanwhile, takes her time. Well, she's probably enjoying it. She's just as thorough as my mother, but softer with it. In fact, this feels kind of nice. I suppose we should not spend too much time outdoors, then. I was hoping we could explore the forest a bit more, but I fear that it would be a poor idea. The trees should give you sufficient cover, but it seems to be another hot day, and I would never be able to forgive myself if you fainted. Yeah, whenever you have sunburn, for one, sunscreen's not going to help you as much if you already have sunburn. For two, you are more susceptible to heat stroke and dehydration. Your body doesn't act properly because you have pores on your body to allow sweat, and that's your natural way to regulate your body temperature. And when you have sunburn, that doesn't happen as efficiently. So, I don't know. The trees should... Oh, we already read that. Moreover, my arm is still not quite what it used to be. Does it hurt? It does not hurt, per se, but my muscles feel rather stiff. Well, I mean, you're rubbing lotion on Marnie, you could return the favor with some massage. Shake my head, Leof, dragging this poor goth wannabe around the sun all day. I know, she needs to be more mindful. Take care of her girlfriend. So, I wish I could march into the forest and rescue my brother from that evil enchantress. I fear I would not be able to defend myself, let alone you. Perhaps it would be best to stay indoors and enjoy the shade, and yet... Gleoff glances wistfully out the window. The curtains are parted and the window is open. The warm summer's breeze creeps through our room, making the curtains flutter. Grand's expansive garden spreads out before us like a green picnic basket, studded there, and there was the oak and ash and birch trees. Grandpa's old beehives, now devoid of bees, are off in one corner like a dilapidated shantytown. Some of the hives are fallen over, and they're surrounded by a tangle of wildflowers. Grandpa's greenhouse is to the left, fenced off from the rest of the sprawling grounds by boxy hedge. A wooden gate permits entrance to the greenhouse, which is situated next to a vegetable garden where lettuces and, again, I can't get used to the plural of because it's just lettuce. And onions and potatoes grow. It's the lake, however, that commands the most attention. The lake is my grandparents' garden is huge. It's a sloping bank lined with willow trees. The warm sunlight plays across the surface of the lake, so it shimmers like glass. It's a nice day, don't you think? Indeed, it is. Leof massages the very last bit of sunscreen into my back, then draws away. Alright, I think I'm done. Finally, I can breathe again, but be still my beating heart. Getting a little riled up, aren't you? I wonder what we should do now, though. We can always walk through the garden if you like. It's big enough, and it might be nice to check the vegetable garden. Again, going out in the sun. Give your skin a break. I think some tomatoes still need picking, and the blackberries might be ready. Blackberries? That does sound delicious. Leov's eyes light up, just as they did last night, and when she saw the overhyped advert for McDonald's new line of deluxe burgers. But to her credit, she tries to stem over her obvious excitement. I actually have a blackberry bush in my backyard. It it was sprouting or blooming so much last year that we just couldn't get through it. I live with my wife and her parents, and it's my house, but they live with me. But anyway, they planted a blackberry bush a few years ago, and it is just it was so thick with blackberries that you couldn't see the vine. It was just like a big bush of blackberries, and we ate so many blackberries, and we took Monty's parents went out and gave tubs full of blackberries to each of the neighbors. At least like 6-7 neighbors got bushels of blackberries. I cannot afford to spend all my time eating, though. If I want to rescue my brother, I must continue my training. You want to practice, huh? Practice? That is spelled wrong, I think. That's not a bad idea, but I think it'd startle Gran if she saw you waving a sword about in her garden. I see. I thought as much. Does that mean I cannot train? Are my skills with the blade destined to wither away? You not be able to practice with your sword, but I might have hit upon a really good idea here. I have something else you could train with, if you'd like. Truly? Truly. And what, pray tell, is that? You'll have to wait and see. I smile obliquely and tap my nose with my index finger. It's a surprise. 15 minutes and a lot of foundation later. I bet they said they were just going so hard on the foundation so they didn't have to do more art and animate it and everything for the dialogues. And it wouldn't be weird just seeing her without the sunburn all of a sudden. My goodness, what is this strange invention, Marnie? It's a water gun. They're pretty straightforward, really. Water gun? Leof cocks her head to one side, perplexed. The water part I understand, but what is a gun? It's a weapon you use to shoot projectiles at people. Normally you'd use bullets, they're hard and made of metal, and they can be pretty dangerous. Even more dangerous than my blade? If you know how to aim properly, then yeah. It's not uncommon to hear about violent gun-related crimes that occur overseas, but you rarely hear about incidents involving swords. Time has moved on quite a bit since Leof was born, whatever century that was. You don't need to worry about these guns, though. They're only toys, and you can't hurt anybody with them. You spray water at people, not bullets, through this nozzle here. When you run out of water, you can fill the gun back up with the water pump in the vegetable garden. I see. And where did you find these guns? They used to belong to Ruby and Pearl. They kept them stored in Gran's garage since we used to play with them whenever we got together. It's been a while since they last used them, though. I know, because I had to wipe them free of cobwebs when I finally unearthed them. Will your cousins mind that we are using their guns for our own means? I doubt it. We used to play together a lot when we were younger, but I had my own water gun when I was a kid. Mom brought it for my 7th birthday after I begged and pleaded. Ruby and Pearl have one. I want one too. I want us to play together. Back then, the three of us would race around Gran's garden, water guns in hand. We'd duck behind trees and dart across the lawn, laughing and shrieking like banshees. Well, if Aunt Allison's to be believed, I'm the one who did most of the shrieking. Ruby and Pearl never made much noise, even though they were being sniped from a distance by a jet of icy water. We played with these guns a lot, and we established our own scoring system. A hit to the head was 20 points, while a hit to the torso was 5. Not that it really mattered. We were so ensconced in our game that it was hard to keep count. Sometimes Ella would act as our judge, but she wasn't much a cop at it. She said we moved too quickly, she couldn't tell what was going on. Ruby and Pearl and I had a lot of fun with these games. But we're older now and we don't play silly games anymore. Ruby and Pearl left their guns here one day and they politely declined to play with me the next time I saw them, even when I begged. They said they were in secondary school now and they didn't think playing with water guns was very mature. I don't know, I think that right there, not doing something because you don't think it's mature is very immature. Just do whatever you need to do to have fun. Thinking you need to act a certain way to be an adult. Being an adult is doing whatever you want to have fun and make your life as fun and happy as possible. That's very toxic. Thinking you have to act a certain way to be an adult is dumb, in my opinion. Ruby and Pearl were shy, softly spoken girls, and they used to do everything I asked. They were older than me, but I was their undisputed leader. They never ever questioned my judgment, and I was the one who picked the games we played, and I almost always beat them. But that changed when my cousins started attending secondary school. They began wearing makeup and dyeing their hair, and all of a sudden they didn't want anything to do with me anymore. They said I was an immature little kid. They, meanwhile, were oh so mature. Our relationship's never been the same since. Good riddance. If they're willing to... That makes me angry. I know people in real life like that. It's a little sad. But the past, to quote our Lord and Savior, Idina Menzel, is in the past. There's no point in dwelling on it now. These guns are pretty different from your sword, but if we play about with them, we should get some exercise. A quick match might help you with your accuracy too. They're kinda old, so they might be a bit busted, but I think they should work. I hope so. They are such a strange weapons. Do you want me to show you how to use it properly, Leof? It might take a bit of getting used to. I shall be fine, my lady. On this matter, I trust my intuition. Well, alright. Leof sounds awfully confident. I hope that doesn't backfire on her. I don't mean to boast, but I'm pretty good with water guns. I don't think Ruby or Pearl were ever able to defeat me in battle. Not even when they banded together to take me down. I might be short and scrawny, but I'm sturdier than I look. So, how are we going to do this exactly? What are the rules? You get 20 points if you hit the head, 5 if you hit the torso. We'll keep going until one of us gets tired and gives in. What do you think? That sounds like fun. I would very much like to spar with you. Aren't you taking this a bit too seriously? This is supposed to be a fun game. Oh no, my lady. You underestimate me. When it comes to combat, I do not play. Whenever I fight, I do it to win. You might be my friend, but I will not hold back. Well, that's a good picture. Very cute. Leof points the barrel of her gun at me, her fingers resting lightly on the trigger. It does not matter whether I'm using a gun or a sword. I will do my very best, and I will make you recognize the full extent of my power. You mean you just want to show off? I suppose that's a fair assessment. I do enjoy displaying my full capacities in combat whenever I can. I hope you have prepared yourself, my lady. You might have been one to propose this bout, but I shall not go easy on you. Here I come. Hey, wait, that's not... But I'm unable to choke out the words in time. A stream of cold, icy water hits me in the head. I stagger back, trying to fend off the unending stream of water with the plastic side of my own gun. And here I was, worrying that Leof wouldn't know how to operate her gun properly. How foolish was I? When it comes to combat, she really is merciless. Then in this case, I won't hold back either. I shoot a jet of water at Leof, though she's unable to dodge it in time. She spins, her burrowed skirt fluttering, and meets my grin with one of her own. Good, that's how I prefer it. It would be boring if you gave up at the beginning. Now, let us fight until neither of us can stand. You're on. I'll show you what I'm really made of. Please do. That would make me happier than I have been in years. Don't let me down. Wouldn't dream of it. Thus commences our bitter battle to the death. Me when you 40. Squirt, squirt. My, that was quite a rigorous workout. Did you enjoy yourself, my lady? I don't know if enjoy is really the right word. You weren't kidding when you said you weren't going to hold back. I feel exhausted. But that is a good thing, surely. It proves you have been working hard. It ain't real exercise unless it hurts, huh? Now you sound like Miss Whitman. Miss who? My PE teacher, she's a demon. I bet she only became a teacher so she could torment me. Oh my, I hope I have not been acting particularly demonic. Well, maybe a little. You did give me a chance to catch my breath. It feels like my muscles have turned to jelly. It's been a while since we concluded our fight, and I'm still gasping for air. Leof, by contrast, looks perfectly composed. There's not a single strand of her brown hair out of place. Unlike me, she managed to avoid most of my torrents of water. Her clothes are almost completely dry, save for a few damp splotches along her skirt. Maybe I underestimated her. She's every bit as powerful as she promised, and then some. What a fearsome foe. You're way... Oh, damn. You're way too good at this. It isn't fair. Well, I can't speak. Well, I have had training, unlike you. I used to practice with my sword for hours on end. I am not naturally strong, so I had to train myself in order to protect others. I wanted to care for my father, my brother, and the people of my settlement. And now, I wish to care for you too. By shooting me in the face with a stream of icy water? Well, you were the one who proposed the challenge. I thought it would be an insult to your honor if I did not use my full power. It wasn't supposed to be a challenge. Oh, are you sure you're not saying that because you lost, my lady? Woo! She roasted her. I'm gonna take a drink. Roasted. Little bit of a showboat, ain't she? I pout and turn my head away while Leof giggles beside me. Now my clothes are all wet. I got a bit wet too, but it should be alright. It's a lovely warm day, and I doubt we will be in much danger of catching colds. I'm starting to wonder if Leof can catch colds. Since she's not an ordinary human, maybe she's immune to germs and bugs and nasty diseases. Now, how would her insides look if I took her to get an x-ray? Maybe her body isn't built like mine. She certainly has stronger legs and swifter aim. I could barely get a hit on her, though she utterly destroyed me. We just need to sit here and wait for the sun to dry our clothes. Nature always has a way of providing. Yeah. I stare up at the blue sky spread above me, partially obscured by the fronds of green leaves. The leaves sway slightly in the breeze, and I squint, holding one hand to my face to blot out the sun. The grass brushes against my damp legs and arms. A sweet floral scent dances into the air, no doubt from the nearby cluster of rose bushes. Grandpa used to tend to this garden with a bit of help from Dad. He watered the tomatoes and lettuce in the vegetable garden, clipped by the rose bushes, and kept several hives full of bees up until his death last year. Most of Grandpa's responsibility have fallen upon my dad's shoulder now. He comes over every week to help Gran keep on top of things. She can't work the old lawnmower with her ropey arms, and so my dad cuts the grass. He shears the hedges too and tends to all the flowers. My grandparents' sweeping garden hasn't fallen to disrepair just yet, but the roses do look a little bit more tangled than usual, and the grass is uneven and choppy. My dad's not great shakes at gardening, and it shows. Still, he's doing his best. I worry what will happen to this place when Gran dies too. I spent a lot of fun hours in the garden playing with Ruby and Pearl and Ella. Those moments are all precious to me, though they seem very faint, almost ghostly now. I don't want this garden to disappear. What will happen to my memories then? Marnie? Leof shifts a little closer to me until her knee nudges my side. Are you alright? I'm just thinking. Oh, what a relief. I was afraid you were sulking, because I kicked your ass. What would I be sulking about? Well, let me see. You could always be reflecting on how badly I beat you, mayhap. She is laying it on thick. Hey. I scowl. For a so-called knight, you're not very modest. Don't you know where there's a thing called being a sore winner? Then I apologize if I was being discourteous. Perhaps I should be more humble, but... Leof glances out over the lake, her expression contemplative. During my era, others constantly looked down on my skills. I just wanted to join the guard, who kept watching over our settlement, but I was refused, no matter how many times I asked. They said I would only be a liability, for I was a woman. I said I would prove my mettle by besting them all in a one-to-one... Oh, thank you for the follow! Welcome to the Plushie Squad. Welcome, welcome. I haven't saved in a while. I'll also take this chance to grab another drink. I said I would prove my mettle by besting them all in a one-on-one fight. They agreed, laughing, of course, because I assumed I was all talk. They were sure there was no way I could triumph over them. They were wrong. I proved myself, but even then, they did not recognize my abilities. They dismissed my victories as dumb luck, and some even said I was cheating. It's like in a battle from life to death, there is no cheating. There was no right for them to say that, because of it's like, well, if you were attacked and they were cheating, you'd be dead right now. In the end, I was never accepted as a knight. I was only ever regarded as a woman. I wonder if that's why I enjoy being with you so much. When we are together, I do not feel the need to prove myself. It seems that you accept me as your knight, even though I am a woman. Or am I wrong? No, you're right. I accept you, so you don't need to keep rubbing your victory in my face. Wonderful. Leof claps her hands together. Being with you is really fun, my lady. 'Cause you can trounce me in any contest of strength in under 5 minutes? Oh no, that isn't it. Not entirely, at least. And I do not think I trounced you. You put up a fine fight. I did not expect you to last as long as you did. Well, thanks very much. That does so much for my ego, not. You did so well. Perhaps I should grant you some kind of a reward. What kind of reward? Well, sad though it is, I do not have much to offer you. It is customary for women to give a brave knight's embroidered kerchiefs as token of affections, but we are both women, and I am the knight, not you. Leof's brow furrows. Give her a kiss. As we are both friends, I care for you. Perhaps... Leof leans in even closer, her sweet breast dusting my cheek like icing, and says, This is for you. I know it is not much, but I hope you will accept it. She takes my hand in her own, then presses a quick kiss against my knuckles. Her lips barely graze my skin. The kiss is quick and fleeting as a fairy's footsteps, but I gasp all the same. I hold my hand to my chest. Blood rushes again beneath my cheek, dyeing my face red. It's kind of disappointing they didn't show it as art. That would have been cute. My skin feels warm where Leof kissed it. Why is it prickling so? It might as well have been poked by a pin. What? You... Why did you do that? Leof inclines her head to one side. I apologize if I did something untoward, my lady. I only wish to show you my fond feelings. Is this gesture not common amongst friends? No, it's not. Definitely not. If I kissed Helena like that, then... But I'm unable to counter. I don't have the opportunity. That's because at that moment, a familiar voice calls to me across the garden. Oh, Marnie, Leof, there you two are. I was calling for you. Gran is approaching us, wending her way through about the side of the lake. She's wearing a pastel cardigan and a pair of brown laced-up shoes. I'm so used to seeing Gran indoors, her slippered feet clad in a pair of fluffy slippers, that it seems almost strange to see her in shoes with real heels. In her hand, she's holding a tray laden with small bite-sized fancies and a china teapot. What have you got there, Gran? I was doing a bit of baking this morning, and I thought you might want some help to help yourselves. There's some banana bread here, and some blueberry muffins, and fairy cakes too. You always loved to use you always used to love my fairy cakes when you were little, Marnie. That was a while ago, Gran. I thought you'd say that. You might fancy yourself a grown-up miss, but nobody's too mature to enjoy a few cakes. I think you need sweetening up, dear. Though you've been more cheerful since Leof arrived, I'm glad you have a friend to play with. I want to counter with surely we weren't playing, but I guess I'm messing up. Because it's tied to the scroll wheel, so I can go back and forward. And then in my clicker is so sensitive that I keep skipping on accident. But I guess that's indisputable given how wet my clothes are. Leof would say we were sparring, of course, but I'm not sure I agree with her judgment. Gran shuffles towards us, her gait slow and overly hesitant. Her hands tremble, and I'm afraid she'll spill the teapot. Do you need any help with that? Oh no, I'm fine, dear. Just give your old Gran a second. But you made those cakes for us. Please let me aid you, my good woman. Leof rises to her feet. She picks her way across the grass to my grandma, skirting about clusters of wildflowers, and takes the tray from her with her nimble fingers. Leof really is better at me than everything. She's beaten me out at the water gun fights, and I think she might even make a better granddaughter. Why is she so perfect? Maybe fairy blood really does run through her veins. Well, I don't want to be a bother, but thank you very much, dear. These old legs aren't what they used to be. Now, you girls enjoy your snack, alright? I brewed some lovely chamomile tea, too. It should go well with the fairy cakes. Please return the tray and the plates to the kitchen when you're finished. I'll be in the living room if you need me. Rand shuffles back to the house while Leof carries the tray beneath the shade of the willow trees. We sit together beneath the tree cross-legged in companionable silence as we watch Gran's retreating back. Leof smiles contentedly, tracing a pattern about the rim of one of the teacups, Gran oh so painstakingly prepared with her trembling fingers. Your grandmother is a dear, isn't she? She really is. I pour 2 cups of piping hot tea while Leof examines the delicate pastries laid out in the willow patterned plates. Leof seems taken with the banana bread and the muffins, but I think she's particularly enchanted by the fairy cakes. They're topped with white icing sugar piped into fluffy peaks and decorated with tiny silver balls that shimmer beneath the sunlight. These little delicacies are simply adorable. What did your grandmother call them? Fairy cakes. Fairy cakes, is it? That's a sweet name, in theory. But these cakes look far too good to be wasted on mischievous, thieving fairies. Have you met any fairies before? Yes, I have. Quite a few times, in fact. They prefer to hide themselves away from humans, but they cannot be underestimated. They particularly enjoy harassing humans. They make them lose sight of their paths when they venture to the woods, or lead them astray into dangerous territories. Then they laugh about it amongst themselves and do nary a thing to help. Well, that's she could be mistaken because of they could be like she could be unknowingly going toward their home, and they could just be protecting their home and then taking amusement and trying to keep them away. I don't know. I cannot stand fairies. They don't deserve any of these little cakes. Well, it's just a name. We usually eat them at birthday parties alongside jelly and ice cream and sausages on a stick and slices of Battenberg. I never really liked Battenberg. It's a very sweet cake that's coated in marzipan and it hurts my teeth. Grand's fairy cakes, meanwhile, are another matter. They're small and perfectly formed and they taste delicious. How lovely. This little cake is so soft and fluffy it almost tastes like a cloud. I'm really glad I came here. I'm glad I met you. Leof looks at me, her eyes shining, a dab of icing sugar on her lower lip. Some things about this village are bothering me, but it seems churlish to complain when the food is so wonderful. For now, let us enjoy ourselves. We can worry later. That sounds like a good idea to me. For the moment, I don't want to think about fairies or enchanted forest or Leof's brother. I don't want to worry about the witch or what will happen to Leof when I have to go home at the end of the week. I just want to spend time with her. And I want to have fun. I can't shake the feeling that Leof's living on borrowed time. That's fast beginning to run out. That sad little cutaway of the face. Leof and I have breakfast with my grandma the next morning, then we go for our leisurely stroll around the village. Leof glances at the small, squat bungalows and with mild interest, her fingers linked behind her back. The heels of Aunt Lita's shoes clicking against the ground rhythmically with each step she takes. I think Leof's getting used to my aunt's old shoes. She doesn't stumble like she used to, and she doesn't pause to adjust the straps about her foot. I suppose I should have expected as much. Leof, as I learned after our ill-fated duel yesterday, is good at almost everything. Another nice warm day. Leof extends her arms above her head, her nut brown hair dancing in the breeze. Does your face feel alright, my lady? It should be fine. My sheets are still a little pink from sunburn, but none of my skin is peeling, thank goodness. A full day's passed and my sunburn doesn't look so very obvious anymore. I smothered the worst of it with white foundation, though some of it peeks through. It's almost like I'm wearing Valentine's Day themed makeup, or that I'm perpetually blushing. Neither of those look really gel with my black skirt and the silvery chain hanging from my belt, but whatever. My blonde hair's never gelled with my overall look either, but that's just something I have to put up with. What about you, Leof? How's your arm? It feels better, thank you, but there is still a certain measure of stiffness to it. I think I need at least another day to recuperate before I venture forth into the forest to find my brother. We very much need to have a talk. Leof sighs. She must know just as well as I do that future altercations with her brother will be anything but other than civil. I doubt they'll exchange any real words, just blows intended to kill. I can only hope Leof will emerge unscathed. Aren't you at all afraid? Not really. As Edmund's younger sister, it is my duty to restore him to his senses. He always used to scold me when we were younger. Now I must return the favor. You needn't worry about me. I am strong, my minor injuries notwithstanding, and I am determined too. If anybody can help my dear brother, I can. I will not rest until he has been freed from the influence of that vile witch. That's another thing that's bothering me. Leof seems certain that her brother is being possessed by Lynette, but I'm not so certain. There are so many things we do not know. Well, I mean, if he was trapped too in the forest and he's been worried, trying to save his sister, searching for her for over 1,000 years, probably just insane. That church did rather pique my fancy, though. The stained glass window in particular. It is quite the unusual piece to display in a church. You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. That stained glass window always captured my fancy when I was a kid, too. It almost made tagging along to the church with my grandparents worth it. Almost. I conjured up all sorts of stories about that window, all the while trying to drown out the priest's slow, unhurried sermon. I gave the knight and the dragons names, and I made up all sorts of histories for them. The more complicated, the better. The knight was a warrior, or a villain, or even a runaway princess in disguise. The dragon was a vile monster, a misunderstood wretch, or a sorceress taking on another form, like Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. I watched a lot of Disney films when I was a kid, and it kind of influenced the way I viewed the world. It's scary that what mass media can do for a young, malleable mind. When I was young, I saw infinite possibilities in those two unnamed characters, frozen forever within that window. But I don't think there's anything that's mysterious about it. It's just a stained glass window of some saint. I bet it's depicting some scene between the Bible. The moment I asked my mother who the figures in that window were, and she supplied an answer, all intrigue faded. The knight and the dragon stop by being mysterious and mutable, filled with possibilities. They become part of the scenery. I wonder if that's what my English teacher, Miss Spindley, meant when he talks about death of the author. I haven't thought about that window for years since, but Leo seems rather hung up on it. You thought the scene depicted St. George, and I thought it might be St. Theodore, but who can say what the scene depicts either of those stories? It could represent something else entirely. And what makes you so certain? I cannot be certain. That is the worst part. It could be a coincidence, but for some reason that scene looked awfully familiar. Familiar? You haven't killed a dragon before, have you? I am unsure. If I had, I am sure I would remember, but my parts of my memory feel as though they have been shrouded in a fog. Maybe this was just an idle fancy, but when I saw that window, it jogged something in my mind. I was thinking maybe, just maybe, if I can learn more about that window, you'll be able to learn more about yourself. That is the general idea, yeah. Even if the window is unrelated to me, it might help me learn more about that witch who ensnared my brother. I am sure she is linked to that church in some manner. Perhaps we are all... the witch, and my brother, and Mimi too. We are connected by threads like a spider web. I need only find where those threads converge. I wish I could talk to the man who made that window. That might give me some sort of clue. I want to know what he was thinking when he chose to depict such a scene. Sorry to disappoint, but we can't go back in time and ask him. He'll be long dead by now. And unlike Leof, most dead people generally tend to stay that way. The glazier be 6 feet under by now. His skeletal remains the home of writhing worms. I know, it's just vexing. I am sure that sorceress knows something, but I doubt she would tell us. If my brother and I are trapped in a spider web, then she must be the spider, and I am sure she enjoys watching us struggle. She will not lift a finger to help. But some of the people in the village might know. So you want to go around questioning people about that window? Why not? There's a strong sense of community in small settlements like this. I'm sure everybody would be more than happy to help. I think you're being a little bit optimistic. Van Chapel is one of those tiny places where everybody knows everybody else, but nobody knows Leof. She's an outsider. As such, they'll be less likely to open up to her. He wants to field of questions about a crumbling old church to a duo of teenage girls anyway. They probably think we were taking the piss, or wasting their time. Perhaps I am, but there is nothing else for us to do today. We cannot go to the forest until I recover, but I do not want to sit idle either. Let us go, my lady. We need to question the good people of this village. There is no time like the present. Wait, wait, wait! It's possible we might find one or two people in this village who know about the window, I guess, but that window has a more modern addition to the Van Chapel Church, but it was still constructed several centuries ago. This is when you go to the library. I know Leof mentioned that she isn't very learned, like she didn't go to school and stuff. But you could still like read for her and figure out. Maybe they have a building history. I don't know, not blueprints, but a manifest of maybe a history book or something on the church. It's not completely improbable that the descendant of the original Glazier would still be living in Fan Chapel, but what would they know of their great, etc. grandfather's work? If he left behind any notes, they'll be long gone by now. Plus, there's always a possibility that Glazier, who made that window, wasn't a local of Fan Chapel. The window is certainly quality work. Even as a kid, I could recognize that. It seemed unlikely somebody that talented would just so happen to be living in a tiny village like Fan Chapel. But what if they were a contractor who originally came from Lincoln or York or Luce? If that's the case, the chances are slim that they'd have any descendants in this village. They might not even have any descendants at all. You might be right about the window, but it'd be pointless to knock on doors without it. We're not detectives. We don't have the authority to make people answer our questions. But then what will we do? How will we learn about that window? I ponder, my arms folded. It doesn't take long before I think of an idea. My gran knows quite a bit about this village. Maybe she'd be able to help. That is a good idea. She does appear to be knowledgeable. I mean, she did say she was a librarian, or not a library, a teacher. She was a teacher before she retired. Even if she didn't know, she'd probably find out. Let us return to your grandmother's abode without delay. I cannot wait to hear what she has to say. Okay, I'm gonna put the cone on my dog. He won't start chewing. Stop chewing. Need a drink too. Had clung onto the hope while walking back to Grant's house that she might be able to shed more light on the mysteries of the stained glass window. Certainly she seems to know more about Fan Chapel than anybody else. She's the one who first started to talk about fairies, which later proved, no matter how loopy she sounded, to be true. And she's the one who gave me that old pendant. If anybody can get to the bottom of this, it will be her. It should be her, at least. But her response to my query is less than satisfying. That window, isn't that the man on the horse, St. George? Hey, you think that too? I don't see who else it could be. There aren't many saints known for slaying dragons. I guess you're right there. I sigh. I've not learned anything new. That's exactly what my mom always said. In the past, I accepted this theory without much thought, because why should I? At the time, I thought it was a perfectly ordinary bit of stained glass. Leof's interest in it does make me wonder, however. I'm sure there must be more to it than that. There has to be. Now, that is quite the heavy sigh. Rand smiles indulgently. Were you up late last night, dear? You look tired. I always look tired. Tired than usual. Fed up, too? Perhaps you should have a lazy day indoors. No thanks, I have stuff to do. Stuff? What stuff? That window isn't bothering you, is it? Kind of. Never really thought about it before, but well... Leof and I went to the church yesterday. She was taken by the window. She said it was unusual. I'd always taken it for granted, but when she pointed it out, I started to think the window was a little strange too. I'm not seeing any stained glass windows like that in any other churches. Not that I've been to many other churches in my time. I like trapezing about the graveyards as much as the next disaffected teenage goths. They're good places to take photos, okay? But the crumbling old churches themselves don't pose too much of interest. My parents aren't religious, so they've never taken me to a local parish. I'm woefully uneducated when it comes to Christian iconography. So, this is something you're interested, Leof. Yes, indeed. For some reason, I cannot stop thinking about that window. It feels very significant, though I am unsure how or why it has been playing on my mind. That is why Marnie asked you about it. She has been trying to satisfy my curiosity. She truly is a good friend. Yes, she is, isn't she? My Marnie might wear a lot of black, but she's a sweet girl deep down. My face might be covered in a layer of foundation, but I can feel myself blushing beneath it. Quit it with the sappy stuff, Gran. You're embarrassing me. But why, Marnie dear? I'm only extolling your good traits. I haven't spent as much time with you recently as I did in the past, but your father can never praise you enough. Your marks might not be the best, but you make up for that with your kindness. There are many intelligent people out there, but there aren't nearly as many kind ones. Kindness is in short supply, I'm afraid. Yeah. I scuffed the floor with my foot. I guess I'm a regular bleeding heart. I'm too nice for my own good. Maybe you should go around insulting people a little bit, trying to make up for it. Nonsense. There's no such thing. I don't know. I don't think Helena would agree with the glowing assessment of my character. She called me an interfering busybody, and even worse, the whole Proteus thing. She seems to think I was jealous of her relationship for some ungodly reason. She couldn't fathom the idea that I might, in fact, be worried about her. I tried to make her see reason, being the great friend that I am. And how did she repay me? She ghosted me. People are so unappreciative. I bet she'll come crying to me when things go south, as they obviously will, and I'll have to try very, very hard not to say, I told you so, all consenting like. That's beside the point, though. I have more important things to worry about right now. Are you very intrigued by that window, Leof? Quite. I have always had an interest in old things, and I would love to know more about it. Gran laughs. As an old thing myself, I suppose I'll take that as a compliment. It is curious, though. I didn't think a girl your age would take such a shine to that old church. I thought you'd be interested in, I don't know, kissing my granddaughter. Marnie, what do teenage girls like? Well, kinda each other, so... Oh, I don't know. I'm more normal than Leof is, but I don't think I'm a good representation of your average teenage girl. I couldn't name a single song on the chart. I'm not really into reality TV or romantic comedies, and I don't get celebrity crushes. Emily Browning accepted. My Grans posed a pretty tough question. What do teenage girls like? If my time spent on Twitter has taught me anything, which, let's face it, it probably hasn't, then... Attractive fictional characters who do evil things and dystopias, maybe? Really? Is that what people like? I never knew. Me neither. It seems we're both out of the loop. Well, she would be. She's a regular girl anachronism. And I'm a relic of the past. That must be why we get on so well. Gran laughs. Now, about that window. In all honesty, I've never paid it much heed. I've always assumed it was part of St. George, but I might be wrong. I know there are a local legend about Finchapel, its forest in particular. I'm a fervent believer in fairies myself, no matter what other people say, but dragons are uncharted territory. I've never seen one of those in my time. Well, that's something to be thankful for. Think fairies can be excused as the follies of an old woman in the hazy summer dandelion clocks would easily become fluttering sylphs. But dragons? That'd have to be a pretty hefty hallucination. Not that I might think my gran was hallucinating about the fairies, not now after meeting and speaking and sharing a bed with Leof. Her existence is too solidly unwavering real to call into question. A dragon would be something else, though. I can't help you, but I might be able to find something in the local library. It's small, but I know it has quite the broad selection. Frank used to spend hours there, browsing the shelves, searching through its books on British birds. I think that would be your best bet. The library, of course, what I said at the beginning. Took you this long to realize libraries was a freaking thing. And if you have, she has a phone. If she has service, she could use it. I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner. If you want to learn about the world around you, what better place to seek answers than within old books? If the library doesn't have anything for info pertaining to that stained glass window, I don't know what will. It's the only option we have. I need to save. Thanks, Gran, you're a star. Shall we head out, Leof? Oh yes, I know little of this so-called library, but I am very interested to learn about it. Alright, you two, have fun. Don't stay out too late, and Leof dear. Gran offers Leof a small smile. I understand coming to a new place must be daunting, but do not lose heart. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. Van Chapel's library, much like everything else in the village, is small in scale. The old wooden floorboards are warped and uneven, and they creak alarmingly with every step. Wooden bookshelves lining the wall, and the shelves badly tilted so the books contain within lists to one side. A few chairs and tables are strewn around, no doubt for prospective readers, and a handful of colorful beanbags littering the ground. Like the rest of the library, however, the chairs are empty, unoccupied. Leof and I are the only people here, save for the librarian behind the counter. It's so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I swallow, tasting mold and decay on my tongue. When the last time this place had a good cleaning anyway? And glance around. This library might date back to 1892, at least according to the plaque on the door, but I don't think it's long for this world. This whole building is a disaster waiting to happen. Any day now, somebody will trip over an uneven floor and break their teeth, or end up crushed beneath a deluge of Dicknesses and Christies after one of these old shelves keel over. The books themselves are arranged in alphabetical order, and wooden placards sit atop the shelves and blazoned with single serif letters, A all the way down to Z. There's a whole bookshelf and half devoted to the letter C, mostly Agatha Christie's and a few Carver and Cheevers thrown in for good measure. There's less than a shelf devoted to the letter Z, with only a couple of Zolas filed beneath it. This library seems stocked mostly classics, but even then there isn't much selection. Books by comparatively modern authors are few and far between. There are usual suspects of course, Harry Potter filed under R, and Da Vinci Code under B, The Golden Compass under P. But mostly the authors crammed onto these shelves seem to have died a good 100 years ago. I guess that's fitting. Finchapel is a tiny village, and its graveyard is even more crowded than the streets. Why would the library be any different? A young-looking librarian with sandy hair sits at the counter, her lolling head supported by her hand. She's flipping, not through a hefty hardback copy of Tess of the whatever, but a tattered copy of what appears to be the first book in the Twilight series. Well, if you're a librarian in a tiny village like Finchapel, I guess you've got to find some way to pass the time. I know Twilight has a very bad rep, but I think I'd pick it over Thomas Hardy too. Wow. Though the library is small in scale, Leof seems quite taken with it. She glances about with wide eyes, as though she's discovered the eighth wonder of the world. Are all these shelves filled with books? It wouldn't be much of a library if it weren't. Incredible. Leof trails her fingertips along a few of the multicolored spines on the B shelf, passing over Brary, Blyton, Bronte, Burgess. I had no idea there were so many books in the world. Some of them are so very thick, too. Leof's fingers rest on an old dog-eared copy of Boswell's Life and Samuel Johnson. I didn't realize people had so much to say. How would they find the time to write all these things down? Well, let me introduce you to the Industrial Revolution. Beats me. You want me to beat you? Yes, please. No, I mean, I don't know. It's a mystery to me, too. I'd never be able to write this much. But you went to school, my lady. I am sure you could if you put your mind to it. Maybe I could, but that doesn't mean I'd want to. Sounds like way too much work. I struggle to put pen to paper for 500-word English essays. I'm similarly in awe that all the authors nestled upon these shelves were able to put pen to paper over and over again, writing reams upon reams of words. Words that hundreds of years later are regurgitated to bored teenagers in stuffy English classrooms by highly uninspired teachers wearing thick glasses and natty cardigans. I doubt that's how Shakespeare intended his Queen Mab speech to be received, but since he's dead, he doesn't have much to say in the matter, poor guy. Well, it's not like it matters. Nobody wants to read anything written by a teenage girl. It wouldn't be proper literature. Not unless we're talking about Anne Frank's diary, I suppose. What is proper literature, then? Stuff by old men, mostly. And maybe a few things by old dead women if you want to be PC, like Shelley and Austen or whatever. And why are those words of old dead people so highly valued? Mr. Spinley would probably say it's all part of the canon. But Mr. Spinley says a lot of stuff, and mostly of it pretty dull. Basically, these old, stuffy books are important because lots of old, stuffy people decided they were important. That's all there is to it. No, I think it's more because of, more things were original back in the day. So much stuff is repeatedly churned out nowadays that less is original. And back in the day, if you wanted to read a book, you read what you were given. There wasn't, like, a vast library, as they say. Like, for example, the Library of Alexandria was known to have all the knowledge stored in the world in it because of that's how they made it a point to, if there was a book, they made sure to stock it in the library, and then it was burned. All the knowledge in the world was just burned. But it's just, of course things would be rare if there are not many of it, so I don't know. It became important because it was read by everybody, because that's all that was available. If you wanted to read a book, that was what was on the shelves. And the more popular it was, the more funded it was, and the more reach it would do, and it just got lucky, basically. So, and it's just harder to do that nowadays. Even if you did write a masterpiece, it would be on the shelves for a little while, and then it wouldn't, while it would probably last a long time, maybe even 100 years, it wouldn't go on the shelf like Anne Frank's diary or, you know, like a big story. So I don't know. Huh, I see. Leof draws away from the B shelf and turns her attention to the D's. Her eyes skitter across the available selection of books curiously. Defoe, Du Maurier, Dumas. Surprised she can read, honestly. This is amazing, though. I never imagined in all my wildest dreams that I would see something like this. During my era, when people wished to share information, they did through spoken stories. It was rare to find anybody who could read or write. I never thought that knowledge could be written down on a page and bound together in a book. It is wisdom that you can hold in your hands and peruse again and again at your leisure. What an incredible invention. Leof seems quite taken with the library. To an illiterate peasant girl, a repository of knowledge of this scale must be rather overwhelming. Again, I can't help but think of the modern world I inhabit. Things sure are convenient. Nowadays, we don't even need to buy physical books. There's the internet, iPads, and Kindle. But I decided to keep that to myself. Leof looks overwhelmed enough as it is. But my lady, I am curious. How do you know where there will be books about Fanchapel's history in here? I don't know for certain, but this seemed like the best place to check. If there are any books like that, they'd be in the non-fiction section. Alright then, my lady. Please, lead the way. Make it sound like we're off exploring the Antarctic. The Antarctic? Oh yeah, I should have known. Since Leof was born in the Middle Ages, before a large swath of countries and continents have been uncovered, of course she wouldn't know all about the Antarctic. To her, the modern world must be a confusing place indeed. Never mind about that. It's not like we'll ever go there. It's really cold and far away. Even farther away than Norway? Norway. Much, much farther. How curious. I can hardly imagine that. The world is really incredible. Every day I learn more and more new things that I never could have known during my own era. I can see how ignorant I was, but I will do my best to keep learning. There is nothing in this world more valuable than knowledge. Let's hope we can find what it is we came here for. I walked through the library, winding my way through the bookshelves. They're almost tall enough to be menacing, and I have to squeeze my way between them. It feels like I'm excavating a hidden tomb. It's certainly dark enough, dusty too. Probably a lot of mold that you're going to get sick from. It's surprisingly hard to locate the shelf I'm after, but at long last... Aha! I spot it. The non-fiction section is right at the back of the library, crammed into a small corner that juts awkwardly from side of the building like a tumor. It's comprised of 3 warped wooden shelves, each pressed against the side of the wall, and a small table crammed between the 3 of them. I guess that's so people can sit down, flip through their books in peace. This way, I beckon Leof to follow me as I pick my way through the slalom course of ill-placed bookshelves. We're almost there, but with every step I take, the air seems to get colder and colder. Brand's necklace feels like ice against my thigh. This sensation, though uncomfortable, is rather familiar. I recognize it. It feels just like it did when... Well, we meet again. A woman is sitting on the edge of the wooden table, hemmed by bookshelves, one leg crossed over the other. She's attired in a dark gown and hood pulled over her face, and her eyes are masked in shadow, but I can see a silver of pale skin peeking out beneath the cloak. Naturally, I know who it is. There's nobody else it could be. Lynette. What voice did I give her? I've already forgotten. But this is Lynette. This is the woman that we encountered earlier that Leof is so adamant about her being a witch. What the... Maybe I'll just give her Leof's voice too, or something. So you remember my name? I am flattered. I am fear you would call me that witch, or temptress, or any number of the other less than pleasant appellations that have been given over the years. Referring to another's by their name makes them appear more human. But some I have met during my life would doubt whether I am truly human at all. They find it easier to make a monster of me. I suppose it's easier to hate those we refuse to regard as equals. Is that not correct, dear Leof? You. Leof shoots Lynette a piercing glare. Her eyes are icy, but her tone is even more glacial. Do not address me by my name, you cowardly witch. You have no right. You see what I mean? Lynette smiled thinly. Leof does not like me. As such, she refuses to acknowledge me. It is nothing I am unaccustomed to, but being rejected always stings. I like her eyes. Actually, her and Marnie look kind of similar. Ancient ancestor? As a knight, you should be more courteous, Leof. I am only courteous to those who deserve my respect, and you have yet to earn it. I doubt a woman like you ever could. Is there ads right now? I got my phone up to know when the ads are going, so I'll just wait till the ads are over. I'll take this opportunity to save. Okay, my phone is back. I'm going to assume everybody else is too. I am only, yeah, okay. I am only courteous to those who deserve my respect, and you have not yet to earn it. I doubt a woman like you ever could. I will never, ever trust you for as long as I live. Which, unfortunately, may not be much longer if you are unable to discover the truth. Was that a threat? Now, would I do something so gauche? While I am confident in my skills, I have no desire to cause you pain. That is the last thing I want. That is what you say, but I know what you were really after. And what would that be, pray tell? You want to humiliate me. You are the one who cursed my brother, and now you seek to bring out my ruin too. Leof's fingers twitch at her sides. I think she's trying to quell the urge to summon her sword from the other. Challenging Lynette outside the church was all well and good, but when there was nobody else around, but that isn't the case now. We're in a library. The librarian is still sitting at the counter, and though she can't see us from this angle, she can still hear us. If a fight broke out, she'd be the first person to hear about it. Leof's immense hatred for Lynette is outweighed by her desire to keep the peace. And in the end, she does nothing. Oh dear, how depressing. I can see my words cannot reach you at all, which is a great pity. I only came here to give you some advice, though I must say I never expected you would go to a library. I did not know you could read, Leof. So what if I cannot read? Marnie can, and she can help me. Besides, that's none of your business. Everything you do is my business. We are from a similar time period, you and I. We are both connected by fate. Our existences are interwoven, whether you realize it or not. It seems strange to me that you would rely on these dusty old books to jog your memory when the truth behind who and what you are is staring you in the face. And what is that supposed to mean? Nothing, only that you should learn to open your eyes. Things needn't be as complex as you think. I have no idea what you're talking about. If that is the so-called advice you wish to give me, I do not think very much of it. You are just trying to fill my head with riddles. Pardon me for confusing you then. Perhaps I should be more direct. These books cannot help you. You already know the truth. Cast your mind back. You will find the answers there, I am sure, unless you are even more hopeless than I feared. Lynette giggles, her lips curling into a cruel smile. Now, you better hurry, Leof. You only have one more day left until the full moon. If you still do not know the truth by then, I'm afraid it might be too late for you, and me, and your dear brother, too. What about my brother? Or what are you planning to do to him? I am not planning anything. Chaos will happen of its own accord if you are unable to divest yourself from the falsehood you have cloaked yourself in. For your own sake, my dear, and all those you care about, do not lose sight of who you are. With that eerie message, the ear shifts about Lynette. Intense cold pierces my flesh all the way down to my marrow, then... Wait, come back here, you wicked witch. Stop trying to confuse me. Why don't you tell me what you know? Lynette disappears. She disappears so completely, it's as though she never existed at all. Well, not that you'd listen if she told you. She could tell you the truth and you would believe her. Once Lynette leaves, I focus all my attention on searching for the books that can shine some light in Finchapel's history. Even in Finchapel's own library. Okay, I'm checking stuff. Even in Finchapel's own library, however, this proves to be quite the challenge. There are a lot of history books crammed upon these warped shelves, but they're devoted to large topics and whole epochs of history. The Roman Empire, the Industrial Revolution, World War I. There are a few slim books about smaller, more digestible subjects, among them a brief treatise about importance of manners and biography of Florence Nightingale, but I can't find anything about Finchapel. This village is so small and insignificant it might as well not exist. You'd think for a village that dates back to 12th century at least, there'd be more information about it there, but apparently not. At one point, the librarian goes to brew herself a cup of tea. When she returns to her post, she's holding a pink and white striped mug in one hand. She nods at Leof and I as she passes by the nonfiction section and rounds the corner and vanishes from view. I bet she's still sitting at her desk, one leg folded to the other, flipping through Twilight while sipping her tea. I, meanwhile, am beginning to lose hope and my concentration with it. Why don't you ask the library? That's what she's there for. There's probably a manifest or something that lists all the library books. She could literally look it up for you. I must have scanned through dozens of promising-looking books, but I've yet to turn up a single lead. An encyclopedia of saints mentioned St. George and St. Theodore, but St. Finchapel was conspicuously absent. I thought I might have some luck with British mythologies, but though the Lincoln Imp put I'm having trouble. An appearance on Finchapel is not in attendance. This is hopeless. It's a completely waste of time. I'm on the verge of giving up when I spot a photograph in a slim book that looks like a familiar. The photo was taken on an overcast, cloudy day, and the scene depicted is blurry with mist. They could have chosen a better day to take a snapshot, but I can make out most of the important details. There are a few crumbling graves, their tops peeking out from the fog, a church tower leaning to one side, and a stained glass window that depicts a knight charging towards a fierce dragon. This must be it. I finally found something. Leof, who is starting to nod off, jumps. What is it? Just look at this. I slide the book across the table, then think better of it. The font in this book is awfully small and cramped, and even if Leof could make out the individual letters, wouldn't be able to read them. I'll have to read it for her. Ahem. I clear my throat and begin my impromptu recital. Of all the tall tales across England, there is one in particular which stood out to me, not just because of its astounding nature, but because of the depiction of the stained glass window, see figure 29. And this church is situated in a small village of Finchapel, 20 miles south of Grimsby. The church was constructed in 1300, so the window itself was made in 1423. To the untrained eye, the window appears to depict St. George's famous fight with a venom-spewing dragon that poisoned the countryside in Belen in Libya. If you ask the locals who live in Finchapel, however, they would give you a slightly different account on the window's origin. According to my sources, this scene depicts not St. George's heroic deeds, but those of a lesser-known knight who lives in Mercia before George's legends rose to prominence. While the identity of the knight is unknown, it is believed that the dragon in the image is once lurked, not in Libya, but somewhere rather close to home, Finchapel's own forest. I think the knight and dragon was Leof. The dragon, or so the stories go, emerged during the full moon to wreak havoc upon the settlements which were built around the forest. Many brave knights tried to fell the dragon, but all failed. That is until one uncommonly young knight rode upon his noble steed to end the wicked dragon's reign of terror. Okay, I'm gonna call it. Leof fought the dragon, and Edmund followed suit to save his sister, and took the glory. Maybe not by purpose, but by accident. Or whatever, the history books got some facts wrong. But, I don't know. And Leof even had a horse. The knight was innocent and inexperienced, and the people did not believe he could defeat the foul monster. They said the knight was being foolhardy and that he would be torn to pieces by the dragon's sharp claws, but he did not listen. This knight, young though he was, believed in himself, and he was determined to protect the people at all costs. An arduous battle of endurance ensued, but the young knight was eventually able to pass his foe, though his victory came at a price. The dragon caught the youth with its sharp claws before the last vestiges of life drained from its body, and so took the valiant champion down with it. The people were so grateful to the youth, they resolved they would never forget his heroic sacrifice. He was laid to rest deep within the forest. The stories say that he remains there to his... Now, what if he didn't kill Leof, but put her under a spell, and they put Leof in the forest? That's how she got there. Centuries later, the people of Fen Chapel commissioned a stained glass window so they could commemorate the life of this legendary young knight whose tale remains widely known. The windows were crafted by a talented glazier, John Thornton, a resident of York, who was also responsible for the impressive stained glass windows in the renowned York Minster. It is impossible to say that this oral tale was first told, but it has resulted in a beautiful stained glass window crafted by the hands of a true artisan. It is for this reason the Church of Fen Chapel has become such a beloved monument, and I am sure it will endure in time, captivating hearts and minds for many years to come. I've been streaming for 2 hours. Wonder how much more... I keep saying that. I wonder how much time's left on this. Not that I'm not enjoying it, it's just... It's already gone on like 4 times as long as they said it would take to get through it. So, Leof, what do you think about that? Leof frowns. It is hard to know if that tale is true or not. It is only a story after all, but I do wonder. Is there really a dragon in the forest? If that's the case, then the knight who rode out to protect the people, and in so doing, died. Leof points towards herself, her fingers trembling. Was that me? I am a knight, and I certainly was found in this forest, but I was only sleeping. The centuries passed me by like a dream, and yet... Leof pinches the inside of her wrist and her thumb and forefinger. I feel corporeal enough. Other people can see and hear me, and I can feel pain. I am not dead, but perhaps I should be? Leof's brow furrows. She crosses one leg over the other, then recrosses it, her fingernails tapping out an ancient rhythm against the tabletop. Maybe all the people in the forest are spirits, being held in stasis. Maybe this part of the village's curse did bind me to this world even after my supposed death. Perhaps it's bound my brother here too. The witch said we needed to learn the truth before the full moon, and the story in this book says the dragon only appears during the full moon. That's quite the coincidence. So the dragon is still alive, but the story said that it died. Then again, I am a knight, and I still live on. The dragon could have survived. Our fates must be interlinked with magic. That could be it. The dragon may have woke up when you did. You both revived at the same time. On the full moon, it'll try to destroy the village, and you're the only one who can stop it. If this were a few days prior, I'd cringe at all the weird, fanciful language spilling from my mouth. Not even my loopy Aunt Lita believes in lost souls, curses, or evil spirits. Okay, no, scratch that. She attends seances, so she must believe in the spirit realm to some degree, but dragons? That's going a step too far, even for her. I'm sure she'd think I was crazy if she could hear me. I know I sound crazy, but... I think you might be onto something, my lady. That was a very quick, deductive thinking. If I am tied to this dragon, it stands to reason that it would awake alongside me. It will be seeking revenge, no doubt, after I killed it. And if this is the case, then we truly have no time to spare. I don't know how dangerous the dragon is, or if it has truly been reborn, but I cannot let this stand. It will be the full moon tomorrow. That is when I must strike. I will go into the forest and I will defeat that dragon. I don't have any other option. Leof and I lie together in the same bed that night. She's fast asleep. Already her chest is writhing and falling in slumber. I'm jealous that she can sleep so easy. It just isn't fair. I feel exhausted, but rest won't come no matter how tightly I squeeze my eyes shut. As I am right now, sleep feels about as obtainable as a perfect 100% on one of Miss Partridge's math exams. This freaking sucks. Seconds tick by, then minutes. I've been lying in this bed for over an hour, but nothing happens. I'm wasting my time. Well, screw this. Groggy and disoriented, I throw the covers back and get to my feet. Freed from my confines, I feel like a mummy rising from the coffins, ready to wreak destruction upon the world. But that isn't my job, is it? That dusty belongs to the dragon that lurks deep within the forest, if such an incredible mystical monster really does exist. At this point, who knows? It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma. I walk to the window and draw back the curtains, and I stare back at the night sky. It's pitch black out there. Stars twinkle in the sky ominously, framing the moon, which looks alarmingly full. I can't help but turn Lynette's word over in my head like a mantra. You had better hurry, Leof. You only have one more day until the full moon. If you still do not know the truth by then, I am afraid it may be too late for you and me, and your dear brother, too. But what did she mean by that? She sounded civil enough, but I could hear the veiled threat behind her words. Was she talking about the dragon, or referring to something else? It's impossible for me to tell. If only she didn't speak in riddles, then it'd be much easier to wrap my head around all this. I draw back from the window, my heart pounding rapidly against my ribcage, beating out in a regular rhythm. I'm not afraid, am I? You're being stupid, Marnie. Don't let that woman's words get to you. What does she know anyway? I mean, it's not like she's a seemingly all-seeing, all-knowing witch or anything. I turn back to the bed, ready to slip once more beneath the covers when I pause. My nocturnal motions must have roused Leof because she's sitting up, hands resting on her lap. Unlike me, she looks impossibly pristine after waking from her slumber. My heart clenches inside my breast, but this time I know fear isn't the sole culprit. Leof, you're awake. Indeed I am, well spotted. Alright. I'm sorry for pointing out the obvious. I hope I didn't disturb you. Oh, you needn't worry about that, my lady. But I should have been more considerate. I didn't mean to wake you. You have always been plenty considerate of me. There isn't really no for you to fuss on my behalf, as your knight is my duty to protect you, and moreover... Leof smiles bashfully. I wasn't actually asleep. You weren't? Unfortunately, no. I tried, of course, but alas, it was not meant to be. But you were so still. You didn't move a single muscle. Yes, well, I thought you were asleep. I didn't want to disturb you. Your under eyes are dark enough as it is. I would hate to contribute to your fatigue. My under eyes? Yes, they always look so very dark, like bruises. They stand out quite alarmingly against your pale skin. Oh, that, those aren't really dark rings, it's all makeup. Makeup? Yeah, like, eyeliner and eyeshadow is to get that classical gothic smoky eye look that all the rage on YouTube. I'm not as good with my makeup or as adventurous as some YouTubers out there, but I'm getting there. I want to ring my eyes so much with so much makeup that they look like hollow, empty sockets. It's always been a dream of mine, look like a lich. Leof ponders, one hand beneath her chin. I cannot say I know what YouTube is. I cannot say what I know what YouTube is, but if I'm understanding you correctly, does that mean you choose to look as though you have not slept over months? Pretty much, yeah. But why? I do not understand. There's nothing to understand. It's just the way it looks, that's all. If it wasn't for all this makeup and these black clothes, I'm not entirely sure who I'd be anymore. I've based so much of my identity on my appearance, it's almost like my soul itself is tied up in chains and torn fishnets. That probably sounds a little sad, though. My Aunt Lita says it's bad to practice ourselves into neat little boxes and predefined labels, so I've always labeled her as a weirdo myself. There's more to me than being a goth. That single signifier is woefully lacking when it comes to describing my thoughts or my goals or my fears. But it's a comforting crutch to lean on. If I had to describe it in a way that you'd understand, then maybe I could call these clothes my armor. Armor? Yeah, wearing black and putting on all this makeup, it helps me set me apart a little from everybody else and giving me my identity. You see? Since I've said so much already, I might as well tell Leof my life story. What have I got to lose at this point? My mom fussed about how cute I was when I was little. She loved my long blonde hair and my blue eyes, and she dressed me up in nice clothes like a little doll. She'd always wanted a girl, and she was really overprotective. She loved me a lot, but she was kind of stifling. She tuttered whenever I broke a nail or tore my clothes. In the end, I think I started to resent her just a little. I wanted to break away from her influence when I got older, so I decided to reinvent myself. I got rid of my old clothes and started wearing black pretty much exclusively. I started experimenting with my makeup too, though my first few attempts looked awful. When my mother saw my new look, she was livid. I think she thought I was trying to spite her, but I wasn't. I just wanted to be my own person, and I've always thought black clothes looked cool. There wasn't much more to it than that. Oh, this is why you started to paint your eyes black. Yeah, I'm still not sure if this is what I really want to be, but... Well, I'm only a teenager. I'm sure I'll figure everything out later, but for now, it's good enough. Dressing like this is cozy. It makes me feel stronger and braver than I am. It's like a front, I guess. Does that make sense? Leof ponders for a moment and then smiles. If you want to look like that, I suppose I cannot judge you. I was often judged through my era for having the audacity to wear man's armor. I suppose in that sense we have something in common. We might be from different eras, but there are many similarities between us. I wonder if that's why we get on so well. I must admit, I am quite drawn to you, my lady. Leof shuffles closer to me. She reaches out, gently taking my hands in her own. Tomorrow, I will venture forth into the forest. I am sure it will be dangerous. There is a chance I may not come back alive. Then let me come with you. I beg your pardon? I want to come with you. I can't let you wander off into the woods on your own, not to face a dragon. I want to be there too, to provide moral support. But my lady, you might get hurt. I know not if I will be able to protect you. I have only known you for a little while, but you are very precious to me. If you were injured, I would be beside myself. Leof. My cheeks feel warm and my heart flutters uneasily inside my chest. She's so close to me, I can feel her breath across my cheek. It feels faintly minty like toothpaste. I really do care for you. You are the one who awoken me from my slumber, and you let me into your life, though you had no obligation to do so. You have been unfailingly patient with me, despite my shortcomings. Though I was determined to act with your knight, it was you who led me through this strange new world. If it were not for you, I would be completely lost. I appreciate your good deal. And that is why I cannot let you come with me. But I want to come with you. We've been through a lot together, and I can't let you go and face a monster without me. I'm going into the forest with you, and that's final. But, my lady, it will be too dangerous. I cannot promise that I'll be able to protect you as I did before. Our enemies are too numerous to count. This forest is filled with strange creatures. Furies, pixies, and goblins all lurk in the shadows, and they are not particularly fond of humans. We were lucky we were able to escape with our lives last time. We might not be so fortunate now. And that's all the more reason for me to come with you. Look. I know there's nothing I can do to help. Can't fight, and I don't know magic. I'll just be a burden, really. If I come with you, I'll get in your way. I know this might sound selfish, but I still want to encourage you to keep going. We've been through so much together already. I don't want to risk losing you now. I can't let you cast me aside. Oh, Marnie. Leoth's eyes soften. Are you sure I cannot deter you? No, I won't let you leave me. I see, you really are stubborn. Then again, I wouldn't expect anything less. Then in that case, Leoth narrows her eyes. I shall be your sword and shield during my upcoming battle, fierce though it may be. I will not let harm befall you. You mean too much to me. I like you, Marnie. I like you a good deal. And I do not want to let you go. Leoth. I glance at the floor shyly, my eyes half-lidded. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that was pretty romantic speech. It sure had more of an impact than the long soliloquies I had to listen to from Romeo and Juliet. I never read Romeo and Juliet. And I know enough. I've watched like plays and stuff for Romeo and Juliet. I didn't really care for it. So maybe that's because it was my grumpy English teacher, Mr. Spindley, who has read those speeches out to me. Or not just me, that'd be creepy. He read them to the whole class, Helena included. I didn't pay much attention at the time. I knew I'd have to write about those speeches in English, but I really could not be bothered. I spent most of English giggling with Helena, while the rest of the classmates popped gum and passed notes. It wasn't very romantic atmosphere. Those days were in my dreary English classroom feel very far away now, though. It's just Leoth and I in my aunt's quiet, moonlit bedroom. And she is so close to me, I can feel her breath on my face. I can feel my face turning pink. Leoth's words are sincere. She means them for me and for me alone. I can tell she cares for me. But I'm sure I'd be able to tell as much even if she remained close-lipped. There's something about the way she looks at me that makes me melt. Leoth can't read, but her feelings are written all over her face. I hope she can understand my feelings too. I want her to know how much I care for her. Maybe that's why I lean in. Hey, Monty. Maybe that's why I lean in. I love you too. Maybe that's why I lean in, or does she? I'm not sure, but soon I found my eyes closing. Our fingers entwine, and then... kisses. My lips meet hers. Monty chooses the perfect time to, pop in. Right at the kiss scene. This is my very first kiss, but it feels completely natural. It's almost like the conclusion to a fairy story. It is a fairy story. And the knight that took the princess in her arms, and they lived happily ever after. But this isn't the end of my story. Our greatest trial has yet to come. Tomorrow, the two of us will venture into the woods. There, Leoth will have to fight for her life. Perhaps that's why Leoth pulls me closer towards her, her splayed fingers buried in my hair. This might be our last chance to spend time together. I want my savior to savor this moment. Who knows what's coming of dawn will bring. The next day. Please watch your step, my lady. The forest is treacherous and filled with any number of strange creatures. I cannot let you get hurt. I'll be alright. I said as much, didn't I? I'm going to stay by your side until the bitter end. Did you at least wear sunscreen this time? Marnie. Leof turns to look at me, a small smile on her face. But then the moment passes and her smile fades. It's a warm day, and the bright sunshine spills from the blue sky. The sunshine filters through the green leaves that stir around us, dyeing it pale green. The leaves on the trees rustle, and a few loose sticks snap between the heels of my shoes. When I strain my ears, I swear I can hear the faint whispers mixed in with the soft, earthy sounds of nature. So she's back at it again. Humans just don't learn their lesson, do they? And she's brought somebody else with her, too. That girl, could it be? Because of her. This should prove rather interesting. Eerie laughter dances through the forest as I shudder. The forest is full of strange beings that lurk beyond the bounds of my limited imagination. I can't see them, but they can see me. They hide in the hollows of the old tree, peeking out from the shadowy places my woefully inadequate eyes can't measure. Do these voices belong to Grand's fairies? Perhaps they're soft, cute creatures like you'd expect from a Disney film, decidedly family-friendly, with shining wings and shimmering hair that falls in waves of golden corn. But I'm not very optimistic. I can't see these strange beings, but I doubt they're anything like the sanitized fairies you find in picture books. These creatures laugh with moss-flecked teeth, their fingers gnarled like tree roots, pale purple lichens sprouting between their toes. These beings, whatever they are one with the forest, more plant than person perhaps. And is it any wonder I can't see them? They're too fantastical for dull, mundane eyes like mine. I'd never be able to understand them. All I can do is fear them. I pick up my pace, my anxious heart humming inside my chest. I wonder if you look through the eye of that necklace that she has, if you'd be able to see them. I walk toe to toe with Leof, huddling inside her shadow, my eyes flickering here and there like a lizard. In this changing, muting, shifting forest, Leof is so very alive. She is the only constant I can trust. It's because she's here that I can keep going. I must keep going. Marnie? Leof casts me another anxious glance. I think she's more concerned for my welfare than for her own. Is something the matter? You look awfully pale. I'm always pale. I know that, but you seem paler than usual. You aren't getting cold feet, are you? No, that's not it. I'm fine. It's just... I've never even seen a fairy before. Do you know what they look like? If I did, the memories are faint and hazy now. They are secretive creatures, and they do not like showing themselves before humans. But some people believe they are intrinsically kind and good. And you? I am more skeptical. I think some fairies are wicked and they mean to do us harm. Yeah, I gathered as much. I appreciate having it spelled out, though. We resume our walk through the forest. Faint whispers follow us all the while, crisscrossing from tree to tree like spider webs forever out of our sight. Here they come! Here they come! It's just like she said. She knows how they think. Silly human. Silly knight. Does she think she can save him? She should save herself. Yes, save yourself. Run from this place while you have a chance. But we all know she won't. He's far too stubborn. That's what got her into the mess to begin with. Well, that's what happened when you fall in love. The faint laughter of dozens of fairies knife through my skin, sliding between my ribs, so my blood runs cold. Do their words really mean anything, or are they simply trying to make us squirm? I walk along with an unsteady, easy gait. My legs tremble badly. I wish I could grab hold of Leah for support, but I don't want to slow her down. I'm doing my best to remain stoic, but my anxiety must show on my face because Leah pauses. She glances at me, her eyes heavy with concern. Are you alright, Marnie? Is something the matter? It's fine, I was just wondering. Can you hear those voices too? They are everywhere, but when you get this far into the forest, it is better to ignore them, I think. I've been trying, but it's hard. They're saying some pretty ominous stuff. Marnie. Leof walks towards me, frowning, and gently tips my chin with her 2 fingers. Our eyes meet, blue on brown. And I know my heart's pounding, face flushing, and I can't hide anything from her. I've shared too much of myself with her over the last few days. She knows me too well. You're shaking. I'm cold is all. But it's a rather warm day, I have to wonder. You aren't scared, are you? I take a step from Leof, shrugging off with her hand and turn churlishly to one side. Anybody would be scared in a situation like this. That's true enough, I suppose, but I cannot help but fear for your safety. If you want, I can always escort you back to the entrance of the forest. Perhaps that would be better for both of us if you weren't hurt. No. The single syllable falls from my lips with more power than I intended, and even I'm stopped short by how harsh I was. Oh, I apologize. I did not mean to upset you. I am sorry if I said anything untoward to you, my lady. No, it's, fine. I scoff at a hooked tree root protruding from the ground like a snare with the tip of my trainer. You didn't do anything wrong, but I made you feel unwanted, didn't I? That is why you reacted so violently? I can understand that. I also dislike being told no, but please try to understand. I am not saying this because I do not enjoy your company. I like being by your side, and your presence gives me courage. This forest is no place for humans. You're a human too, aren't you? Maybe I was once, but now, who knows? I was asleep for centuries. Normal humans cannot do that. Not without their bones turning to dust and ash. I must have been protected by some kind of enchantment. Enchantment or not, you're still Leof, and I don't want to leave you. No matter where I am, I feel safe when I'm with you. Even when we're walking some kind of trap? Even so, I don't care about that. I've come too far now. I can't turn back. The thought of being parted from her is terrifying, even more so than whatever lurks among these trees. We have to do this together, otherwise there's no point. I can support you and you can support me. Isn't that how this is meant to work? You make a sound argument. Perhaps I was letting my own worries get to me, but you have made me see sense, as you always do. As your knight, I must listen to your wishes. And as your lover, I have an obligation to make them come true. We're lovers now? What else would we do? Would we be? We did kiss. Now, I know that, but, well, lovers sound a little, you know. Is it old-fashioned? Maybe a little. That sort of thing adults say. But I'm not an adult yet. On that note, I wonder how old Leof is. I don't think she's that much older than I am. Well, I mean by like 1,300 years. But she might have been sleeping for centuries, but I think she's only 17 or 18. I don't know. I never asked. And if she dies here, I'll never get the chance. Marnie, are you alright? It's hard to say. I turn away awkwardly. Embarrassment must be catching. And scratch my cheek with my index finger. I can feel the heat emitting from my own skin. Not for the first time, I curse my pale skin. Whenever I blush, it shows up so easily, it's impossible to hide my emotions. Not that I need to when I'm with Leof. I'm just a dumb teenager, and I don't know much about anything, but it would be nice if you could be my girlfriend, maybe. Girlfriend? Leof tilts her head to one side. That is a foreign concept to me. You are a girl, and you are my friend. There is no need to state it so, but I suppose I have no issue with it. It does roll off the tongue quite nicely. Then you can be my girlfriend. I brush a few strands of hair behind my ear and blink at Leof shyly. That being the case, I can't leave you here. I care about you, corny as it sounds, and I don't want to abandon you now. Not when you're going off to face your biggest challenge yet. I can't. I wouldn't be much of a girlfriend if I let you down. Oh, Marnie. Leof smiled sweetly. Your fond feelings towards me are very special indeed. I was not accustomed to hearing such kind words during my time. I was spurned by many because of my desire to become a knight, and even my own brother turned his back on me. Nobody supported me, but you are different. No matter what path I choose, though it may be thorny and fraught with danger, you always wish to stand by me. That is more than I had ever hoped for. Those sayings, Leof bends down on one knee, the loose leaves on the ground rustling, and takes her hand in mine. No matter what may happen, we shall stand together, I promise. And she presses her soft, cool lips against the back of my trembling hand. Another scene I would have liked to see, but they glossed right over it. Leof and I walk ever deeper into the woods, flanked on all sides by whispering trees and mocking laughter. Try to shut my ears to these invisible creatures, but their words are able to snake through my defenses regardless. They won't leave me alone. The trees around us grow thicker and thicker, and a sliver of sky above my head begins to close up like a sutured wound. The ground becomes more uneven. It's positively littered with tree stumps and hooked, evil-looking roots. There are more flowers, too. I recognize these flowers. They spread across the ground like a blanket, their petals pale blue, cupped like bells. In the distance, I can hear the faint sound of running water. We're almost there. This is the lake where I first met Edmund. Perhaps Leof can sense his presence, too, because she hurries ahead, her expression grimly determined. I break into a half-run to keep up with her, cursing my short legs all the while. If only I'd been born into a body I've always wanted, tall and statuesque, with black hair and dark eyes, a regular Mordecai Adams. But I'm not Mordecai Adams or even Whitney Adams. I'm Marnie Lennox, and I'm small and weak. My skin turns pink too easily, and if cut, it would bleed too easily. I feel less weak when I'm with Leof, though that sounds incredibly corny. She gives me the strength to keep going. I chase after her, keeping pace the best I can, until the trees around me begin to thin, and I can see a strip of clear blue water in the distance. It's the lake. We finally made it back here, where this cozy story first began to unfold, and we aren't alone. A knight stands at the edge of the lake, staring out over the water. Sorry, I saw something bloop on my OBS, but he wears leather gloves and steel greaves, and the helmet upon his head hides his face from view. When Leof sees him, she gasps and darts forth, one hand open upon her heart. My brother, oh my dear brother. Leof seems to have forgotten her own safety. She doesn't even bother to summon her sword, perhaps because she believes, or wants to believe, that this time he won't hurt her. How could he? He's her family. He's all she has left. I know Leof loves him a good deal, but... I told you not to call me that, imposter. Edmund unsheathes his blade and points it towards Leof's throat. The silvery sword shimmers in the sunlight, promising pain. Edmund's sword is definitely no prop. With one single well-placed blow, he'd be able to sever Leof's skin from her bones. This is a sword that gouged Leof's shoulder, spilling goblets of blood all over the ground. Edmund has hurt Leof once before, and badly. It looks like she's already forgiven him. She loves him so much. Brother, please, steal your blade. I do not wish to fight. I could not bear to hurt you. It is fun.
It is funny you would say that when you are the root of all my suffering. Were it not for you, none of this would have happened. You are the one who led my sister astray, and now you must pay the price.
But Edmund, don't you see? I am your sister.
No, you are not. You are a being who merely pretends to be my sister, and you would do a very poor job of it. I never wanted my sister to become a knight, but she was still 10 times the knight you are.
And what do you mean by that?
No knight, worth his salt, would back away from a challenge such as this. I wish to fight to protect my family's honor, you refuse. Is that because you are a coward? Or is it because you have no honor of your own placed upon the line? Which is it?
Oh, Edmund, please come to your senses. I don't want to fight you because I love you. We should be working together to defeat Lynette. We shouldn't be at one another's throats like wolves. Can you not see that?
The only one unable to see clearly is you. At first, I thought you meant to mock me, but now I am not so sure. You have steeped yourself in lies for as long as you have begun to believe them. You truly think you are her, and I am your brother.
Edmund shakes his head.
In a way, I suppose I pity you. You are a sad husk of nothing of your own. You have no hopes or dreams or aspirations, so you stole hers. You stole her name and you stole her sword, and now you're even trying to steal my heart. But I shan't let you have it. Pathetic though you are, you will not sway me.
With an enraged roar like an injured animal, Edmund strikes. His sword flashing beneath the summer sunshine, he swings at Leof in a wide arc. Leof is able to dodge just in time. She summons her own sword force and thrusts it forward, parrying. Two blades clash and sparks fly as the pair trade blow after blow. Leof grits her teeth together, her eyes are narrowed. With consternation, her whole face pale and pinched. Please, my brother, please listen to me. I do not wish to hurt you.
You have hurt me more than enough already. I will not let you deceive me, though you may have deceived yourself. I will not become a willing audience for your delusions.
Edmund pushes Leof back, his shoes digging into the dirt. Leof tries to stand her ground, but Edmund is far more physically imposing than she. He's taller with broader shoulders, and she can't stagger him. In a simple power struggle, Leof will obviously lose. Perhaps that's why she chooses to retreat. Leof jumps back, avoiding Edmund's blade, and skirts around him. Her brown hair streams behind her like a veil. I wonder if it ever gets in the way when she's fighting. Very well, I will answer violence with violence. I have no desire to hurt you, but I will not stand idle and let you make the gravest mistake of your life. Leof swings her sword at Edmund. He's able to deflect it in time, but Leof stands to one side yet again, striking another blow, then another. She's moving so fast I can scarcely keep track of her. Father entrusted you with my protection, Edmund. We are family. We were supposed to look out for one another. His words should hold true. Even now, I will not let you break your promise.
Silence! What do you know of my father?
I know everything you know. He was my father, too. Edmund's sword meets Leof's over and over again. Steel clings against steel, and Edmund tries to push her back, knocking her down, run her through, but Leof is too fast. She hasn't given him a single opening. Her footwork is light and nimble. She's positively running rings around her brother. You told Father you would look after me. That's why you were always so averse to the idea of me becoming a knight. You said that you wanted to protect me. But how will you protect me now that if you sever my head from my body and spill my blood all over the ground?
I did promise that, yes, but not to you. You are not my sister. I never loved you when she was alive. She never loved you when she was alive, and now she's dead and gone, and you are pretending to be her. You would wear her skin as a mantle if you could.
I don't know who told you that, but your mind has been poisoned. You are very, very sick, my brother, but fear not, I am still your sister, and I love you, and I will heal you. I had hoped I could talk some sense into you, but if talking's not possible, I will stop you with force instead. I will even kill you if I must, though I do not wish to. Hurting you is the last thing I want. But I would rather turn into a villain to save your soul than let you condemn yourself to hell. Leof circles Edmund, and she strikes out once, twice, thrice, each time her sword meeting his. Edmund's rage lends his blow more strength, but he lacks Leof's finesse. It's clear he has less experience than she does. He's outmatched. You have never been able to best me in a fair fight. What makes you think can triumph now? If you don't stop this madness, I will kill you.
Do you really think you can frighten me, vile monster? I have been trapped in this forest for centuries. In spirit, I am already dead. If you were to fell me, I would almost welcome it. But I won't go down alone. If I can't defeat you, I'll take this girl down with me.
What? Edmund changes the course of his attack. I can feel the animosity executing him in ways. He knows he can't defeat Leof. That's why he's targeting me. Leof got hurt last time trying to protect me. He cut open her shoulder. It looked like she was in a lot of pain. I can't let that happen again. You coward! How dare you! I won't let you use me to hurt Leof.
Big words for such a small girl. As it is, you can't even fight. You have no weapon.
Maybe not, but I'm not going to roll over and let you kill me, you asshole. Edmund charges at me, his sword drawn, but for once in my life, I'm the faster one. If only Miss Whitman was here, she might even be proud. Who would have thought that Marnie Lennox, the chronic skiver who got stomach cramps every single PE class, would be able to outrun a medieval knight nursing a centuries-long grudge? I never imagined such a thing would ever be possible, so to be fair, this whole situation is eminently unbelievable. I guess when your life's on the line, you can do anything. I dash past Edmund, narrowly avoiding his blade, and wade out into the lake. The water is alarmingly cold despite the warm weather, and I gasp as it sucks the heat from my body. My shoes are soaked, and so are my leggings. I'm getting water in my favorite pair of boots, and the heels are sinking into the mud. But I can't let that deter me. There are more important things in life. If I wade out far enough, surely he won't be able to follow. Won't his armor weigh him down? That was my reasoning, but...
I won't let you get away. You who look so much like my sister, your existence is an eyesore. If I'm going to die, I will first make you kiss the edge of my blade.
Then come and get me.
You will soon regret those words, you demon.
Okay, there's ads, so I'm going to take a drink. Hopefully there's not much left on this. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. I'm actually doing pretty good this stream because of 2 hours and 40 minutes in, and it only drops frames whenever I go to the BRB screen. And my camera hasn't crashed. My VTuber model's been doing okay. Sorry, just waiting for the ads. I don't know if everybody gets them at the same time, but... I really need to find a better way of the ads. Sorry, I'm gonna plug in my phone. It's dying. Are we back? Yeah, okay, so now we're back. His armor is weighing him down. He can barely move his legs. In his thirst for revenge, he's completely forgotten himself. This should give Leof enough of an opening to... Take this, foul beast. My lady, no. Ah. An high-pitched, embarrassingly girlish scream wrenches its way from my throat. I tried to duck behind a nearby rock, but it's too late. I thought the water would slow Edmund down, but he's moving with the speed I didn't anticipate. I guess centuries of plotting revenge can do things to people. It can imbue them with almost superhuman strengths. Or maybe you could call it determination? For whatever reason, Edmund wants me dead, and he'll stop at nothing to achieve his goal. His sword is a hair's breadth away from me. I breathe in. My nerves are on fire. Grand's necklace, secreted away in my pocket, is colder than ice. The moment I breathe out, the finishing blow will come. He'll kill me. He should kill me at least, but... Edmund staggers. He's bleeding, and the wound looks fatal.
But how?
Leah stands behind Edmund, her face pale and contorted with concentration. I guess, I didn't expect there to be blood, but... Or I guess I should have known, because it happened last time, too. I kind of blinked it. Her fingers grip the blade of her sword so tightly her knuckles turn white. Water ripples around her feet. A few droplets of water glisten on the hem of her tunic, the hilt of her sword. Water that is slowly, very slowly beginning to turn pale pink, like raspberry lemonade. The blade of Leof's sword penetrates her brother's back between his shoulder blades. Leof's aim, even during a frantic time such as this, is impeccable. Her skills with a sword are 1 to none. And Edmund, despite being older than she is, was no match for her. Ugh. Edmund staggers back. His body jerks as though he no longer controls it. The blow must have struck a vital spot. His heart, perhaps, because he's losing blood at a rapid pace. Excuse me. He stains the back of his armor, torn asunder as easily as crepe paper. For all his talk of revenge, he couldn't kill Leof. Her determination was stronger than his, and now he's paying the price. Edmund collapses in the shallows of the lake. He slumps force, gargling blood, while Leof crouches behind him. The front of Leof's tunic is stained with her brother's blood, but she doesn't seem to notice. Edmund was her beloved brother. He was the last remaining member of her family, and she killed him. She tore his life away from his body with her own 2 hands, all to save me. She did this for my sake. She was able to rescue me, but... Edmund, oh Edmund. Leof holds her brother still, slowly dying against her chest. Her eyes are damp with tears and her shoulders shake badly. My stupid, foolish brother. Slowly, Leof takes Edmund's helmet and lifts it from his head. Finally, I can see what he looks like in vivid, almost vivid detail. He's been alive for hundreds of years, but he's still a person, a human. He's not that different from me. His eyes are pale, watery blue. Perhaps their pigmentation ran dry through centuries of salty tears. His lips are full, his nose is aquiline, and he has a firm jaw. I suppose one could call him handsome, in a sense. He really does look like a knight from a fairy story. But it's too late for him now. Oh, Edmund, why did it have to turn out like this? I didn't want to harm you. If only you would listen to me, then maybe this could have been avoided. There is no need for us to come to blows, not like this. What would dear father say if he were alive? If he knew that his 2 children had come to, he would be turning over his grave with grief. We were supposed to protect one another. I became a knight so I could keep you and father safe. Then why did you insist on fighting me?
No.
Edmund's lost so much blood he can barely twitch his fingertips. He still meets Leof's gaze with his own. His pale, pale eyes are glazed over, like stained glass. But he doesn't look away. Even as the life fights from his body, which has been animated for far too long, he refuses to die too easily. He really is stubborn.
You don't understand. Even now, you don't understand.
Hi, Pan. Yeah, you come in and someone is dying. Yeah, this is a very sad point. How are you doing, Pan? I haven't been to one of your streams in a while either. It's just been really odd times. Gonna take me a sippy. Having breakfast? Then you go to school. Well, I hope you have a good day at school and a very nice breakfast. I hope it's a big breakfast. Breakfast. School time for Pan. Gotta get big and smart.
You grieve, but you have no reason to mourn for me. You never liked me anyway.
You're kinda small, not gonna lie, but shh. Calling you out. But of course I like you. You're my dear brother. I love you. I love you more than anything.
You might think that, but...
Edmund coughs weakly. Droplets of red blood wet his lips, and he groans. Oh, Edmund. Please, dear brother, do not say another word. I do not want you to strain yourself. Yeah, the dramatic anime CG. It's funny because people pop in at the weirdest parts. Because this is actually a Yuri, and Leof, this girl right here, is in love with the main character Marnie, and they had a kissing scene. And my wife popped into the chat from work, and right at that scene. Edmund laughs weakly.
Don't you think it's a little too late for that? It's too late for me, but you should know.
Yes, my brother, what is it? Yeah, surprise Yuri.
You might think you are Leof even now, but you're not. You were only ever pretending. It was a good pretense at times. I almost believed you. I wanted to believe you.
And why are they in a lake? She should get him to a doctor or something. I guess. They're actually in a mystical forest. They have to follow a certain path to even get out because it's they'll get magically turned around because of trickster fairies. But I don't know. They were in a lake because of Marnie, the main character, was thinking that with the armor he wouldn't be able to get to her.
It would have been so wonderful to hug you again like we used to. It was my dearest wish that I could see my sister again. But though you knew her well, you are not her. You will never be her. I couldn't protect my sister's body, but I wanted to protect her soul. I vowed I would cut down all those who mocked her memory. But you have bested me. Maybe that means your love for her was stronger than mine.
What do you mean, Edmund? Please, speak to me. Tell me what you mean.
Only that you loved her a lot. But your love was unable to save her. She's already dead, and we are all suffering for it. But now I do not have to wander in this world any longer. I will meet her in the afterlife, and finally we will be united. I have been looking forward to this moment for too long. It's strange.
Edmund sighs, his eyelashes trembling, as he stares at Leof's startling face.
I should hate you. It was my hatred for you that kept me alive for so long, but in the end, none of that seems to matter.
Yeah, I think he's about to pass on.
I just hope you, too, can find your own peace, so that may be free of your own curse.
And so it is, with a low rattling breath that makes my skin turn to ice. Edmund's head lolls. His eyes fall shut, then his breathing stops. Me coming into the story trying to infer what's happening. Yeah, this is actually like near the end, I think. We've been doing this story like 10 hours at this point, I think. Like 5 streams? 4 streams? Yeah, so there's a lot. He doesn't get back up again. I know that he never will. This forest might be enchanted, but it's impossible to bring the dead back to life. Already dead, am I? Leof sits on the tree stump, one leg folded over the other. Her eyes are narrowed, one hand beneath her chin. Leof's tunic was once spattered with her brother's blood, but it's already faded. Edmund himself has vanished too, his body disappearing as though it never existed. Yeah, I think we're leaning towards these are spirits and not actually living people. Leof clung to him by the lakeside, her arms wrapped about him for as long as she could, as a mother might cradle her child. She ran her hands through his hair and sung him lullabies in a strange, lilting language I couldn't understand, until the water that lapped at his fingers still began to eat right through him. Edmund's body dispersed in the air like smoke, leaving behind not a trace, nor blood, nor bones, nor any armor. Not even his thirst for revenge, nothing. Everything about Edmund had vanished from this world, but I suppose that's to be expected. He wasn't meant to exist in this world for so long in the first place. He should have died long ago, long time ago. But he was bound in a place for centuries like by some kind of curse. Or maybe you could call it an obsession? He wanted to see Leof again, but... He said I was dead, but how can that be true? Wrong voice. I am not dead. I am very much alive, though I should have passed away centuries ago. You said you found me sleeping in the forest, correct? That's right. There wasn't a scratch on you. You look calm and peaceful like a doll. It must have been magic that induced me to sleep for so long. I was lost in my slumber for centuries. In a sense, it was quite like death. But you awoke me, my lady, so I could fight for your honor. Leof rises to her feet, her eyes narrowed. I have drunk in so many wondrous sights and eaten so much delicious food and learned so much about this world. I can't be dead. I can still feel the sunlight on my face and the wind through my hair. My muscles ache after walking for so long, and my bones feel weak and weary. Yeah, the blonde girl? Yeah, her name's Marnie Lennox. She's the main character that you're, basically, the narration of the story is by her. Gus Blonde in my dreams, for real. Yeah, she's really cute. And the eyes, I really love the eyes. You should have seen Lynette. She's like a, she looks similar to her. The eyes were a little bit more vibrant, a vibrant blue. And, her hair was like a gray. And she was dressed kind of like, hoodie, like a witch kind of thing. Yeah, she was pretty cute. Leof presses a hand against her chest. It hurts. I get in the voices mixed up. It hurts. I can feel pain. And if I were dead, that wouldn't be possible. I shouldn't be alive. It is true, but I am. This is indisputable. I exist, and I won't let anybody take that away from me. Leof's voice is feverish. I don't think I've ever seen her look so worked up before. Everything's changed since Leof went to sleep. Even Finchapel, with its teeny tiny population, is bigger and vaster and grander than anything Leof knew in her time period. We have indoor plumbing now, and electricity, and the internet. We have wonders Leof could never imagine in her time because it was so far separated from all she knew. This world must be incredibly alienating to her, but still she tries to press on. Maybe she could keep going because of her brother, but he was still alive in a manner of speaking, and he tied her to the past. Now that that tie has been severed, he's dead. Leof killed him. He's gone, but you're still alive, Leof. You are. I take Leoff's hand in my own and squeeze him, willing her to look at me. Her hands feel hard and callous after gripping her sword so tightly, but this doesn't dissuade me. If anything, it makes me want to cling to her all the more. Edmund said you were dead, but he was obviously wrong. You're with me, and you're real. That's not something that can be argued with. And that's precisely what's bothering me. He said Leoff was dead, but I'm still alive. The book we found in the library said much the same thing. The brave knight who faced the dragon in Venchapel's forest was run through. They died. If I really am that knight, I should be dead too. Maybe you did die once, but this forest is filled with mysterious creatures. You said so much yourself. What if they took pity on you and they rescued you before you passed away? They could have preserved your body within the woods for centuries, waiting for someone to find you. When I put it like that, it kind of sounds like Snow White. There aren't any dwarves, but Lynette might pass for an evil queen. Would that make Edmund the huntsman? How do I fit this into the equation, though? Since I'm the one who brought Leoff back to life, I guess I'd have to be the prince. Yeah, right. There's nothing remotely regal about me. The pieces don't line up as well as I thought they would. Thank goodness, I wouldn't want to get sued by Bob Eager. You think that's possible? I don't know what's possible and what isn't. I don't know anything about fairies. But I do know you, Leoff. I don't think you'd ever lie to me. I've known her for a very brief amount of time, but I have a pretty good assessment of her character. If I had to write her end-of-term report, I wouldn't use the stock phrases Miss Gillespie put on my report, lazy and disagreeable for those who's interested. I called Leoff brave, noble, hardworking, and above all earnest. She's not a liar. If she was, I never would have grown to care about her so much. I don't think I would lie either, but perhaps I've been lying to myself. If I accept my brother's word at face value, then it would seem that he is not really my brother and I am not really Leoff. I only think I am Leoff. I've been borrowing her name in her past, but nothing about me is truly mine. It could be possible. But that makes no sense. Leoff pushes me away and begins to pace, her fingers running through her hair. I remember the crippling grief after I felt my mother die. I remember playing at being a knight with my brother in the forest, fending off his blows with a wooden stick. I remember my earnest desire to protect my home and a derision of my father's friends when they heard of my ambitions. I remember it all down to the last detail. How can these memories not be mine? If I'm not Leoff, then there'll be nothing left of me. I won't even be a person anymore. I will be like a pot whose contents have been tipped out. I'll be empty. No, that's not true. You won't be empty. And how do you know that? Being Leoff is all I know. Her past is mine. If we're the same, then I won't have history anymore. I can't answer any questions about your past, but I take a step towards Leoff. She hunched in on herself, trembling. Suddenly she looks so very small and uncertain that I'm struck with the desperate desire to protect her. I just want to make her feel better. You might be unsure of your past, but you still have a present. You have the here and now, and you have me. It just picks her up or something. I throw my arms about Leoff's waist tightly, enveloping her in a warm embrace. Unless she's just that short. I don't know. I don't think she was expecting my embrace because she staggers back in surprise. Marnie! Shh, it'll be alright. Please don't cry. Leoff's hair tickles my cheek. I smell her scent. The comforting aroma of Johnson's baby shampoo emanates from her, light and inoffensive. She feels alarmingly skinny in my arms. I'm afraid she might turn to dust and air like her brother. If Edmund really is her brother. I know I can't do much for you, Leoff, but no matter what happens, no matter whether you're really Leoff or not, I care about you and I trust you and I want to stay with you. Marnie. Leof blinks at me for a few moments, nonplussed. She sniffs, and I'm alarmed to find that her eyes are shining with tears. How can I pledge your allegiance to me when you don't know who I really am? I do not even know who I really am. I don't know if I've found my way into this forest, and many of memories are hazy. I can recall my past in perfect detail, but I have no way of knowing if that's really my past. I thought I was Leof, but that might be a lie. And I'm telling you that I don't care if it's a lie or not. Even if you're not who you think you are, you're still a good person. Isn't it though? It's adorable. You put yourself in harm's way so you could protect me. That's not something a wicked woman would do. It doesn't matter to me whether you're Leof or not. I care about you all the same, and that won't change. Marnie, Leof looks at me, her lower lip trembling before... You really are too good to me. With a soft cry, Leof buries her head against my chest. She's taller than me, and she has to seat her shoulders, her body quivering. Okay, that was throwing me off a little bit, because all game, whenever their models show up, they're perfect same height. And then all of a sudden, they're throwing on the Marnie being lower, and it was startling me a little bit. She feels so fragile, I'm afraid she'll fall apart in my fingers. I'm a little worried, but I think I'm strong enough to support her. She's protected me numerous times, now it's my turn to protect her. It's alright, I'm still here, you can cry all you want. But it's embarrassing. I decided to become a knight, so I can't cry. I shed all my tears after my mother died. I think it's because Marnie is lifting her. I think so too. I wanted to be a knight, and knights don't cry. They smile brilliantly like the sun, and they protect those who are weaker than them. I never wanted anybody to call me sad, stupid girl ever again. I wanted to be a hero. I thought that was what I wanted at least, but what if it was all a lie? I don't think it was a lie. You sound sincere enough to me, but there's a flaw with your thinking. A flaw? Leof sniffles abashed and blinks at me through teary eyes. What flaw? Even heroes can cry. That doesn't make you weak. In fact, nowadays people think being honest about your feelings can make you stronger. My mom's a therapist, so she delivers corny lines like this all the time. I used to roll my eyes whenever she'd tell me to practice wellness or self-acceptance, but now I think I finally understand what she meant. Like Leof, I was so desperate to hide my real emotions I didn't want to be weak. I shied away from people and flinched beneath their wandering fingers. Can I touch your hair? You're so cute, just like a doll. I never seen anybody so tiny before, because they made me feel like less of a human. I was a curiosity to them, almost like a small fluffy animal in a petting zoo. I tried to mask my feelings of inadequacy by wearing a black and scowling, just as Leof tried to hide her own anxieties behind her dreams of being a knight. But facades aren't always enough to get us through life. Now that sounds pretty fancy. I guess even I can say smart stuff from time to time. Sometimes, we just need to acknowledge our own weakness. We can keep pretending they don't exist, they'll prey on us all the more. Then they'll swallow us. Edmund was so obsessed with his sadness, he lost sight of who he really was. But that won't happen to you. You're not alone. You have me. Oh, Marnie. You always seem to know the right thing to say. Leof smiles a wan, watery smile, her cheeks flushed with tears. Is that because you went to school and I didn't? Nah, I never got very good grades at school. I'm not very smart. The school report Miss Gillespie wrote about me was downright character assassination. You'd think, based on her scathing comments, I was a nefarious serial killer, not a lazy girl who sometimes spent her lessons gossiping with Helena. But I want to be here for you. At least, you're way more important than math and English lessons. I don't know what math lessons is, but it sounds rather complex. It is. Miss Partridge doesn't make it any easier either. I can't stand for trigonometry, and the FOIL message is absolutely worst. My head is starting to spin already. These long words and foreign concepts are a lot to take in for a simple girl like me, but it's helped ease my worries somewhat. Leof giggles. Really though, I must thank you for comforting me. I do wish you hadn't seen such a side of my character though. I vowed to be your knight. I wanted to protect you, but now you are the one protecting me. It's no biggie. You're not just my knight. We're also friends. And, I glanced to the side shyly, my face flushing pink beneath the thick layer of white foundation. We're girlfriends, too, I guess. That is correct. Girlfriends are another modern concept I don't quite understand, but like this trigonometry you mentioned, but I would like to understand it. I don't understand everything about this era. I want to stay with you and experience all this world has to offer. Leof draws in a deep breath, steadying herself, then wipes her damp cheek with the back of her arm. She smiles bravely, backlit by the warm sunshine. In this moment, she looks every bit the brave and valiant knight I saw in the stained glass window in the Fen Chapel Church. But before I can enjoy my new lease on life, I need to learn who I really am. I am Leof, or am I somebody else? Right now I am unsure, but I think if we venture even further into the forest, the answers will reveal themselves in due course. I was afraid at first, but I think I am ready to accept the truth now, no matter what it is. I know if you are with me, I shall be able to bear it. Thank you for being with me, Marnie. You have supported me from the very moment we met. And I really do love you. Don't you think it's getting kind of dark? Indeed, it seems the night has fallen rather too early. We have been wandering this forest for a while, but I doubt we have been walking for that long. Leof glances around our surroundings skeptically, as do I. The sky above our heads is now a dark velveteen blue, sprinkled here and there with stars. The moon itself is obscured behind ropes of mist, but I'm sure it'll be around and full like a saucer of milk. Time is fast running out. We only have so long before we can get to the bottom of this convoluted mess. Nothing seems to be going right. Time isn't working as it should. It's going by too quickly. I'll check my phone. Maybe there's something on the news about this. And your phone is still okay after going in the water? I fish my mobile out of my pocket. The screen is dark and impervious, revealing no secrets. I turn it on, but... Huh? Nothing happens. I hold my finger on the on button a little longer, willing the black screen to burst into life with a familiar Samsung jingle. But there's still nothing. It's completely unresponsive. I mean, water will do that. That's weird. Did it die? I charged it before we went out. What the hell's going on? I check my phone as though it might jolt it back to life. Of course it doesn't. My mobile remains unresponsive. Without any power, it's nothing more than a black, enigmatic, very expensive paperweight. Since I don't have a watch, and I'm not in the busiest of carrying a clock around with me, I have no way of checking the real time. I've been left in the dark, quite literally. It might be sunny back in Finchapel, the bright blue sky studded here and there with whipped cream clouds. But here, deep within the woods, time doesn't work as it should. It pauses and judders like an old record. Skipping here, stuttering there, sometimes cutting out hundreds of years of hanging onto a single second. Stupid piece of junk. I stuff my phone back in my pocket. Another ad? Oh, I'll take another drink. I hope this doesn't go on for too much longer, because I'm getting really tired. I feel like we're right there at the end, though. Rest if you need to. Yeah, I mean, not that big a deal. If we start up next time and then it only lasts for like 10 minutes more, then we can just move on to something else. I just don't like doing that. I was trying my best to go on, but then it went on for hours more longer than I was expecting. I mean, 3 more hours where I thought it was going to end. For all I know, they could figure out what's going on and head right on back home.